Nobody knows what a killer looks like. Rah! Locks into the comfort zone, like to discover an ultimate defending fear. The end is near, the end is near. Blend right in, they're your friend, my friend. Past reality, creeping subtly, darmful kind of pain. Bliss or chain of thought, burns rust into rot, mortal tender claws. Nobody knows. Nobody knows what a killer looks like. Blissed or genocide, burns rust in the rot, mortal tender claws. Looks so innocent, bloodhound, no regret, cutting blend right in. How can you tell who does what, when, why, and where? How can you tell who does what, when, why, and where? Mass reality, creeping subtly, darmful kind of pain. Blissed or genocide, burns rust in the rot, mortal tender claws. Nobody knows. Nobody knows what a killer looks like. Nobody knows what a killer looks like! Nobody knows what a killer looks like!
Shop with the boss in the box! Fucking shop with the boss in the box! Fucking shop with the boss in the box! Fucking shop with the boss in the box!
Ladies and gentlemen, hello! Ladies and gentlemen, this is episode 120 of Talking Shop with the Boss in the Box. What's up, man? My friend, you're muted as usual. You should really fix that.
Actually, usually when we do the share screen, you mute me. But anyway, as Mr. Blacker Dundid said, that's right, it's episode 120 of Talking Shop with the Boss in the Box. They let us do this 120 consecutive times. I can't believe that shit. I am one half of your handsome, heavyweight, humble co-host duo, the Lunchbox. Once again, that is one word, capital L, capital B. Thank you very much. Joined as always by a particular presence, a person personified of pleasantries, pageantry, and a plethora of platitudes of programming. Brandon the Boss Blacker.
Dude, you know, I earlier today I was sitting on the toilet and I was like, man, I'm going to put together all these string of words and I'm going to be like, yo, I'm going to do exactly what Lunchbox does. And I couldn't do it.
Hey, you couldn't do
I
it.
couldn't do it.
Dude, honestly, I did not write that one down at all. That one was 100% off the skull. Hey, Brandon, real quick question. Did you notice I'm wearing a jacket tonight?
No, but I noticed that your background is transparent. Welcome to the streaming world, my friend.
That's right. We are coming to you from the nether voids. We are disembodied floating bodies in time and space. We are everywhere and nowhere at the same time now, ladies and gentlemen.
What is this?
Thank you, by the way, for the green screen.
What is this jacket you were talking about?
Well, we'll get to that.
Oh.
So how you been this week?
It's been a shitty week. How about you?
Been a bit of a tough week, too much work and all that good shit, but getting ready for this. We acquired a new sponsor this week, actually, Mr. Blacker. Would you care to flash the graphic and let everybody know why?
Oh, you're talking about, okay. You talk about the graphic. I was going to say, I'm not actually wearing pants right now, so this, I didn't want to flash something that nobody didn't want to see. So here, let's check this out.
I said the graphic, not the demographic.
Okay.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, for the second time, we will be doing the Power Hour Sunday, July 25th, which is this upcoming Sunday. Where there will be no show Monday. It will be on Sunday, and we have now been offered a
Wait, we're doing Power Hour again?
We're doing Power Hour again.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
And hopefully you're actually going to make it. And I've made it sweeter. I've invited our lovely former guest, the one and only Tracy Labrie.
So that means I have to be on my best behavior.
And she has brought along our new sponsor of Settle Down Beer, fresh out of Gilroy. That is Settle Down Brewery and Tap Room straight on Monterey Street in Gilroy. They are providing us with 5 gallons of red rye beer for the Power Hour, where you will watch Brandon, myself, Tracy, and potentially Melu from Arcane Existence down 60 shots of beer in 60 minutes and try and hold a conversation. And rumor has it from the production team, there may be Nerf guns involved.
If that's the case, I got some Nerf guns for him too.
Oh, cool. Bring some more Nerf guns. We could always use more than that. But that's episode 121, and we're not here about that. We are here for episode 120, and man, am I excited about this. I went out and grabbed a guest, a blast from my past. And the reason I'm wearing a jacket in 100-degree weather is because this jacket is from the one and only, the almighty Hemlock, a classic piece of merchandise. The famed Kill Your Children jacket. And we will get into the meaning behind that song because I catch a lot of flack wearing this through the halls of any establishment.
Have you worn that to church lately?
I have not worn it to church, but I did get asked about it at the mall a couple times.
Oh, cool. Okay.
So, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, we would like to introduce to you a blast from the past, a man who has traveled the world for 30 years, and for about 15 of them, he has been an acquaintance of mine. The first bigger band I was ever introduced to and was gracious enough to play our shows. The first band that had toured internationally that I got to work with. A hell of a guy. Mad respect to this guy. I'm so excited, it's ridiculous. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to Talking Shop with the Boss in the Box, episode 120, the one and only Chad Smith of Hemlock.
Yes, what's up?
What's up, my man?
Awesome intro, thank you. Right on. Nice jacket.
Thank you. Thank you. I've had it a while.
Yeah, we haven't had windbreakers in years. That's awesome that you still have it.
Oh, dude, I ain't letting this go. I paid a lot of money for these. Me and my wife got them in the same night, and the last time you guys made it out to California and I saw you in Sacramento, I was standing in front of the merch booth in front of your wife, and she ran up and tapped me on the shoulder and was like, "Hey, how long have you had that?" And I'm like, "You don't remember me, do you?"
How long have you had it? You probably got it in like 07, maybe? 08?
Oh, I was not married, 05. Early 05.
That's a nice coat. That's quality merch right there.
That is quality merch. 15 years, and we wore it a lot for the first 2 or 3.
Yeah, right on. I appreciate you guys having me on the show tonight. It's awesome to catch up with you.
It's awesome to have you here, man. Thank you for coming out.
So
staying in. What?
So hey, man, like, you know, let's just get to the bare bones of it. So, like, Hemlock has been around for how long? 30 plus years?
28 years
28.
now.
Okay, so we're almost there.
Yeah.
So with that being said, where did the heavy metal hardcore journey start for Chad Smith?
We started in high school. Brother and our original guitar player were just jamming, and so we started as a 3-piece, and we were in Henderson, Nevada, which is, most people know, but it's just a suburb of Vegas, so it's all part of the same conglomerate. And started playing in the high school and the Elks Lodge and all the talent shows and all that stuff. And then finally we added a second guitar player, so we became a 4-piece and just kept going and going and going, and here we are 28 years later. I was 15 years old when we started, though. It's crazy how long it's been.
I could relate to that. I started at 14 playing in backyards with a punk band, so I could totally relate to that.
That's awesome.
So 28 years, you've hit a lot of roads. You've hit a lot of sky. Like, you've kind of been everywhere. Like, how long did it take Hemlock to finally hit the road?
We started trying to tour in 1996. We were only 3 years in, and we tried doing like a cross-country tour, and we nicknamed it Hell Tour 96 because it didn't go quite as planned. That was also pre-GPS and all that stuff. So some kids in an old bus getting lost and going to Louisiana, playing in California. I don't know. I think we did like 7 shows over the course of like a month and a half just because we were trying to scrape and scramble, because the guy that also told us that was going to set up flaked on us like 3 weeks before we were supposed to leave. And always those guys that promise you along the way that never follow through with what they say they're going to do. So we just always do it ourselves and try to make it happen as good as we can.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. So with that being said, my next question is, I started touring when the internet was very prevalent, so it was very easy to create contacts and stuff. But back in those days, the internet wasn't quite as relevant per se. Like,
yeah.
How did you get tours booked back then?
Well, we were doing more regional stuff at first, and one of our first out of town shows, it was kind of funny because there was a band from South Lake Tahoe, and they mailed us an envelope to our address that we had like on the back of one of our cassettes or something, and it had a Xerox copy of a map of Las Vegas to Tahoe with it highlighted the route we should drive, and they wrote a check for $100 and said, if you guys can make this date, show up, you can use this for gas money, but if you don't make it, then just tear up the check and don't cash it. And that was one of our first out-of-town shows. We're like, no way, this is crazy. We don't even know these guys. But they invited us up, and we made tons of friends up there in South Lake Tahoe right away. It was cool. And to get a Xerox copy of a map in the mail, it was just a trip. We're like, all right, I guess we're going to Tahoe. So that was one of our first. And then we started playing in Phoenix a bunch and doing a bunch of more regional, closer Southwest stuff. But
wow. So let me understand that was the booking offer. Was, hey, here's a Xerox copy of a map and here's a $100 check.
Here's a check and here's the date, and if you show up, you jam with our band. And I think they might have given us, I don't remember, it's a long time, but that's a lot of headbanging ago. They might have given us a phone number, and I might have even called them or whatever. But that was the show offer, was in the mail like that. It was a cool invite, and we did it, became friends. Melting Pot was the name of the band.
Wow. The fact you were able to dredge that out of your memory is incredible, dude.
Yeah, we became friends with Lavish Green. I'm sure you're familiar with them. They're South Lake Tahoe band, yeah. Became good friends with them in that same era, like way back in the day. And there was a band called Anxiety and all kinds of stuff. So there was a band called the Toilet Brothers that we played with a bunch. That was a good band. But South Lake Tahoe knew how to party. Every time we would go there, we would do shows. People would like have us sign their crutches or their casts because they're all so crazy and doing all the outdoor sports all year long. So they're either skiing in the winter or doing all the motocrossing in the summer. And everybody up there was like doing front flips off of the bar into the mosh pit and throwing pitchers of beer on the ceiling so it just splashed everywhere. I mean, it was insane. The fun days back in the good old South Lake Tahoe days were some of our first out-of-town shows.
Oh, dude, South Lake Tahoe's still off the hook, man. We played there we've done the Hard Rock, and Brandon, what's that other bar in South Lake Tahoe that we all play
Probably
at?
Whiskey Dicks.
Whiskey Dicks. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Cool. Yeah, we've never done the Hard Rock up there, but our friends in Lavish play there a bunch.
We got lucky and got on the Spring Meltdown, and it was at the Hard Rock, and now it's pretty regularly at Whiskey Dicks, but that year it was at the Hard Rock, and it was cool, but I would have rather played Whiskey Dicks.
Yeah. Whiskey Dicks is a good spot.
So
yeah, it's that old school country bar.
Like I see something in the chat. I wonder if you could elaborate on that. So a Carla Cloud mentioned the word Lavlock.
Lavlock. Oh, that's because of Lavish Green and Hemlock, because we've been friends for so long. We kind of, it's like the celebrity name with Bradgelina or whatever they did with. Yeah, awesome.
That's you guys' Megazord band?
Yeah, exactly.
Make my monster grow.
So in all the touring and all the lore, one of the things I like about Hemlock is there are stories and there are different weird elements that you guys bring to the stage. Of course, a full-blown show, lights, all of it. One of my favorite things I've always wanted to ask about was your mic stands. The axe, the sword, and the chain.
Okay.
What's the concept behind that? Where did that come from?
I used to have a different mic stand that had all kinds of doll heads and stuff on it, and like a can of corn, and kids would bring stuff to the shows and give it to me for my old mic stand, and it had like a Barbie that somebody had painted, and it had all kinds of crazy Cabbage Patch Garbage Pail Kid looking head thing on it, but it broke. So then when it broke, because of all in and out of the trailer and so many shows and whatever, I still have it. It's in the attic. But our old guitar player was a welder, and he made an axe, and he didn't sharpen it. And he's like, oh, I'm going to weld this into a stand. And he just made the sword and didn't sharpen it, which is probably good, because some of the bigger shows, it's fine. But if they were sharpened, when people are moshing, the first thing they try to grab when they're falling onto the stage is the mic stands. People would have like cut off fingers and all that. So it was just our old guitar player was a welder, and then he made me the chain mic stand. So for years and years and years now, we've lugged around those 3 beast mic stands, but they've held up. They've had a few different touch up welds and stuff over the years, but they're pretty brutal, and they weigh a ton too, which is nice. It's got the big gooseneck on it, so then that way when I'm playing, I got room to jam and all that.
Okay.
But yeah, they've been around a long time.
Well, I mean, shit, you were bringing them out when I first met you.
And that's crazy to think about that it's been that long, but yeah.
Yeah, I think we've been 18 years or so, 17 years, somewhere in there.
That's awesome. So I guess if you need anything welded, I'll have to hook you up with our old guitar player, because that shit's still holding up.
Yeah, he definitely does quality work.
Yeah, right on.
All right. So you already mentioned, Lavish Green, and we got the Lavlock story, Melting Pot, and you just rattled off a bunch of bands off top of your head. In 28 years, man, who are some bands that you really, that don't exist anymore, or even some that do, that you really think people should check out?
That's a good question. There's so many bands that we've played with. As far as like bigger bands that are underrated, Propane is one of my favorite bands. Ooh. There's a lot of people that kind of sleep on them, and they shouldn't, because Propane in my eyes should be as big as Hatebreed or whatever, I mean. So, and we've toured with them over in Europe 3 different times now. They're an old school New York hardcore band, and I'm sure you guys know, because you guys have been in the music scene for so long, but that's a band that definitely doesn't get their just desserts in America. They're big over in Europe, but here in the States, they just don't draw like they should, at least in my eyes, But there's a lot of bands. I mean, if you're talking local or regionally or nationally, like Lavish Green were always some of our homies. I mean, there was a band in San Diego we used to do a bunch of shows with called Downspell. They're not around anymore. We did a bunch of touring when Chimera was brand new. Those guys actually got pretty well known, but they're not around anymore. It's crazy being around for 28 years, because now we've outlasted so many of these bands. Speaking of South Lake Tahoe, here's a funny story. We were playing at Haas Hogs, the old barbecue place, years and years ago. And it was us and Lavish Green, so Hemlock and Lavish Green, and there was a brand new band that didn't even have a record deal yet that opened up the show named Papa Roach.
Oh.
That was Yeah, that's how long we've been around. We played with them before they got signed. And I think Lefty and Tenfold and Shorty was the other one. They were all from like
and Tenfold.
those guys. These guys used to play with us back in the day. I don't know how I just rambled those off, but good shows. And then we've done so many shows. It's hard to even think. Like In This Moment opened up for us at the Whiskey A Go-Go before they got signed. That was a trip. Suicide Silence, same thing. Suicide Silence and All Shall Perish. We were headlining at the Whiskey A Go-Go, and just these bands get signed and blow up and go huge. And now, it is still rolling. Here we go.
I remember seeing All Shall Perish kind of right when they first started breaking through at the Bourbon Street Bar and Grill in Concord.
We played there with Obituary.
Yes.
I could not believe that the Obituary played at Bourbon Street, that place. But All Shall Perish played there, huh?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Along with
I used to go see
3 Inches of Blood and August Burns Red a long time ago.
Onkla.
Oh, yeah, I remember Onkla. We played with those guys a few times, too.
Mm-hmm.
Right on.
Yeah, a little band by the name of Hostility that used to play up and down the road. Now their drummer's in Impending Doom.
I didn't put that together. He's an Impending Doom, huh?
You helped facilitate that.
And is that his name? And
Yeah, you helped facilitate that.
with Impending Doom. That's awesome. I didn't realize he was drumming in that band.
He's been in Impending Doom, Oceano, and then a couple different projects he's had, like The Devastated, Oblige. Like after he was departed Hostility, man, he rode.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Like
We should hit him up, say what's going on. It's been a while. Yeah, we brought Hostility down to Las Vegas, and they opened up for us at the Huntridge Theater, I think. It was a sweet show. Like 1,000 kids screaming words. Probably wearing that same jacket you got. Because it was years and years ago.
Well, about this jacket and when we got it, so my wife and I got married June 4th, 2005.
Okay.
June 6th, 2005, you were playing hometown on the Static X tour.
Sweet.
We booked our honeymoon to go to Vegas, planned to kick off our honeymoon by getting off the plane and showing up at a Hemlock show.
That's awesome.
It would have been. We missed our plane.
Oh, no.
And we showed up literally like as the just after the whole crowd left and the venue was cleaning up. And I almost tried to start sweet talking and be like, "Hey, any of the guys from Hemlock still around? Can I go in and say hi?" Like we tried to, and we made it a point not to even tell you because we were just going to show up, 700 miles from where you play for me on a semi-regular basis and just be like, "Hey."
That would have been a sweet surprise. I'm glad you made it to Vegas at least, but that's a bummer you missed the show.
It is what it is. We caught Static X 2 days later, but it didn't have, or like a week later, whatever it was, when we got home, they played the Fat Cat. But, it's not the same as pulling off that surprise on you guys like we wanted to do.
I love that. You see people that you recognize, but they're like halfway across the country, or sometimes we even saw a guy from Southern California over in Germany one time. We're like, what the hell? We're like, you get caught off guard for a second. Your brain starts trying to I know that dude, but he doesn't live here. What's he doing here? Somebody from Iowa and Idaho or whatever, and your brain starts spinning. You're like, no way. It's awesome surprises to get. That's what's cool about touring and music and all that, because we also aren't the type of band where we go and hide out in the green room or go on the tour bus and hide out. We're always mingling and visiting, and we've made friends with so many people all around the world that it's just great to be able to tour and you go see your homies and go hang out and you shoot the shit and catch up. And, so same thing like that where you come and surprise us. It would have been so rad. I would have been like, Dave, what are you doing in Vegas? No way. That's awesome.
Yeah, trust me, it sucked for me to really drop the ball on a surprise because it was totally my fault. My dad was down from Oklahoma. We stopped and hung out too long and just missed the plane.
Yeah, all good. Well, Hemlock's still around, so you can do it now. You can catch a different show one of these days if we're ever allowed to play again. Fuck.
Did you ever run into like a fan just all across the country? I mean, kind of what you guys were just kind of talking about. I used to see this guy. That I would see at like all the Slims and the Pound shows in San Francisco.
Awesome.
It was a dude who only had one arm. Like he had one arm, and he was just kind of an older gentleman. And I would see him everywhere, and I also saw him at like a show that I played in Flagstaff, Arizona, and then I would just see him absolutely everywhere. Have you ever you ever seen like a random fan? You just see it like every show, not necessarily your shows, but like any show. You're like, oh, you're here? Wow.
That's awesome story, especially the Flagstaff. I love Flagstaff, Arizona. That's cool that you saw him out there. I wouldn't say that I've run into random friends, because most of the time, if somebody like, actually there was a friend, I think that they might have been from the Bay Area that moved to Flagstaff, and they surprised us one time at a show there, but they came specifically for the show. And we've had fans and friends. We kind of started a friendly competition with a few summers ago that you could win a trophy of whoever goes to the most Hemlock shows in 1 year. So we had a couple of friends that went to like 17 or 18 shows out of like a full tour or whatever. So stuff like that where you're like, man, that's so crazy, because like it's just awesome when they're I'm in Denver now, and then a few days later, like, I'm in Seattle now. I'm like, man, that's so awesome that they're making the point to actually come out and surprise us at all these shows. But
is that trophy still out there up for grabs on the line?
We'll make a new one. Yeah, we buy old trophies from like the thrift store, and then I customize them and make them weird little Hemlock trophies, so they're funny. So whenever we do another full tour, we'll start it up again, because we've done it the last 3 or 4 years.
What do you do with them? Like, how do you customize them?
One of them had like a bowling ball, so I painted it and put like a little Hemlock H on it, and then I glue like little like dreadlocks on the dude, and put like a little Hemlock plaque on the front of it, and just said #1 show attendance or something like that. Like just funny, crazy shit. I don't know. Whatever makes me laugh. See, my brain still thinks I'm 15 years old.
Like I said, try and find a perfect attendance from a school that somebody's discarded or whatever.
Oh, one of them, I got an action figure because we couldn't find a fucking trophy anywhere, because we were on tour, and you always see trophies at thrift stores, like old tennis ones or whatever, anything. We could not find one at all. We looked at like 8 different, and I was like, man, somebody's got to win this trophy. So we wound up buying a Captain America, and I spray painted him gold, and then glued him on like a different base with like some bass fish trophy thing or whatever. And so it's Captain America, and then it said #1 show attendance on it. Yeah. just silly shit. Don't you want to win?
I would hang that bitch in my garage. It would be right behind me.
Yeah.
Like, right up here with my Simpsons stuff.
Yeah, I got a huge Simpsons collection in the kitchen too. I wish we were doing the interview in the kitchen.
Oh, no shit.
No shit?
Yeah, I didn't realize.
Oh shit! Post-production. Oh no, we'll have in post-production. We'll have to check that out.
We painted our kitchen yellow when we first moved in, and I built shelves like a foot down from the ceiling, and it has all the Simpson toys all the way around the whole kitchen.
Holy shit!
Have you ever seen our Homer Simpson?
No, because I would own that.
We have a Homer Simpson Hemlock shirt that I drew because I love the Simpsons. And Homer's ripping his shirt open, and he has a big Hemlock H on his fat belly, and he's yelling the word Hemlock. And then on the back, and he's wearing Nikes too. I figured I might as well go all kinds of crazy trademark shit. And then on the back, it has Bart Simpson as a skeleton with crossbones, like a little skull, and it says "The Only Enemy."
Oh, dude, I don't know how I didn't pick that up, because you guys came through touring on The Only Enemy, and I got the Hemlockomania shirt because I'm a wrestling nut too.
Yes.
But
maybe we were out of stock. We were probably out of them or something. They do sell quick every time we make more.
Dude, if you make a batch of those, you call me straight away.
All right. We've had some ridiculous merch over the years.
Actually, I wanted to bring that up. You mentioned the Simpsons, and you just threw Nikes on there because fuck it, might as well just infringe as much as you can. Tell us about the story from the old-fashioned hardcore shirt where you guys caught the cease and desist from Wendy's.
Damn, you remember that story?
Oh.
So this was also early days because I didn't have a good copy of Photoshop or anything. Like, art programs weren't as big. So I got an actual cup from Wendy's and cut it out like the old waxy cups. And I then trying to remember how I did it. Like I actually drew on it or something and like kind of like cut and paste and hot glued some stuff and made the design, the original design. And then of course it got fixed and morphed over the years, but we put red dreadlocks on Wendy and a red beard that was like dreaded. And it said old fashioned hardcore instead of old fashioned hamburgers. And we sold the living hell out of those shirts. They were on yellow and on black. And we would sell so many of them for like 2 or 3 years. We probably sold like 1,000 of them or something. And then we were in Roswell, New Mexico, or Las Cruces, New Mexico, or something at a Wendy's, and we were on tour. And I remember it was just really, really crazy and weird because there was like this old lady inside that was like mad at us, and she was smoking while she was eating inside the Wendy's. And the employees were mad at us because they didn't want it. They hated their lives. They didn't want to be there. Where I remember there was like a ladybug in my brother's salad or something. I don't remember. And there was like cockroaches on the ground in the corner, and it was just mayhem at Wendy's. And we were laughing because we're like, this place fucking sucks. This is a shitty Wendy's. So my wife, she was my girlfriend at the time, but my wife was like, I'm going to write a complaint card. Oh yeah, the employees got mad at us and actually cussed at us or something because my brother went to go complain about the bug in his salad. So my wife wrote a complaint card, and this is probably 2001, something like that. 2002, I don't know, about there was a lady smoking, the employees were rude, there's bugs in the food, you know, and we're like thinking, all right, cool, hopefully we'll get some free coupons for Wendy's, because of course that's not enough to scare us away. We'll go to another Wendy's, you know.
Right, that's helpful on the road.
So months later, we got this envelope in the mail at our P.O. box. We're like, hell yeah, free coupons for Wendy's. And we open it up, we're like, oh shit, it's a cease and desist letter. And it was early internet days, so it was like when you have like message boards and stuff like that. And it turned out that somebody had worn their Hemlock shirt into Wendy's and started like teasing the employees, like showing and pointing at it and everything. And then Wendy's had to go to our original.com page, or hemlockworld.com, and look to see if we were selling them. And then they had to write a letter of cease and desist. So it was good because we were actually getting ready to reorder a new batch of them again. But we were like, well, I guess that's it. So we didn't have them anymore, and it became more legendary because people were like, man, I want to get one of those Wendy's shirts. My old one got jacked, or I got messed up, or whatever. Like, we can't make them anymore. We got busted. But we found out that you have to get a cease and desist letter for them to like tell you not to do it anymore. And then if you still do it, then they send you like, all right, we're gonna press charges or whatever. And then it's like this warning. And then if you still continue to make them, then you can get in trouble. So we were like, our punk rock mentality in us, we were like, all right, screw it. We just won't make them anymore. Because I had heard a story about No Effects. They had a Tricks t-shirt that was no Effects, but it said Tricks are for kids, and punk is for kids. But they sold them at Hot Topic, so they actually had a lawsuit and got busted. Nobody from Wendy's is ever going to be at a Hemlock show in Los Banos or New York or whatever. Nobody from Wendy's corporate's ever going to be at a show. So we got busted. So then the next thing we did is we were like, all right, let's make McDonald's shirts now. So we made McDonald's shirts. And those turned out great. We sold a ton of them in Europe. And then just a few years ago, it was our 25-year anniversary. And me and my wife were sitting, we're like, let's bring something back old school. Let's do something fun, you know? Like, shit, the Wendy's shirt. Let's bring it back. We're like, it's been like 17 years since we got that cease and desist letter. Let's make some more. So we brought it back, and I made a back on the back that says 25 years strong on the back of the shirt. And then because I thought it was funny, we might as well make a huge banner that we had, like a big 10-foot banner of the same design behind us that we did on our whole 25-year anniversary tour. So we brought them back for like a year or two, and now we don't have them again. But we figured whoever was mad at us 17 years prior wouldn't even know any different now or whatever. So this is a long story for a stupid shirt, but they were awesome. People still ask us about them.
So awesome. That whole story was phenomenal, top to bottom, dude. Like, I didn't expect it to be that good. I just knew you got hit with one.
We also made a Yoda shirt before, and I drew it in high school, and I took it, and then I added like a little hand with Yoda's 3 little fingers, and he's doing like, you know, the little devil sign, and it says, listen to Hemlock, you shall. I'm like, if we ever get a cease and desist letter from George Lucas, I'm gonna frame that shit and hang it in my office. That'll be awesome. So, but we never got in trouble from anybody else except Wendy's, and we didn't really get in trouble. We just got warned.
Do you still have the cease and desist?
Yes, we do.
The most punk rock thing you could do from that angle is actually take the cease and desist letter and put that on a shirt.
That would be great. If we bring him back a third time, that's what we'll do.
Put that one on the back.
Yeah.
Boom.
Yeah.
By the way, in the chat, Travis Worm Higgins says, "What's up, Tinder Bear?"
Yeah. What's up, Travis? Hope you had fun at Crypticon in Kansas City.
Tinder Bear, huh? Is there a story
Yeah,
behind that?
Yeah, I got all kinds of stories. How long is this interview?
As long as you want it to be.
Yeah, till we drop, dude.
So this nickname of Tinder Bear started because we had a friend nicknamed Stretch Nuts. And Stretch Nuts used to tour with us. I won't say his real name in case for some reason he doesn't like being called Stretch Nuts anymore, but he would tour with us. And he would chain that had like a leather strap to tie around your belt loop or whatever, but he'd put the leather strap around his balls and he would hang heavy stuff from his balls. Woo! So it kept getting more and more like crazy on tour because you dare each other to do stuff. So he would like, I remember one party we were at somebody's house, me and my wife, we were sitting on the ottoman and I held onto the end of the chain and he pulled us on the ottoman across a carpeted floor in the living room. So we're like, no way. He's
with his balls?
With his balls, yeah. And they get so stretched and so tight that they looked like a shiny apple. Like they would stretch out so.
Oh
So then we got him to pull a refrigerator out from the wall with his balls. He would do the chain around it and he would just pull it back and he would do all this shit. He held a guitar and we had a wireless pack on it and our guitar player played it while it was hanging from his balls.
Oh my God. This is the greatest interview we've ever done.
So Victorville, California, Stretch Nuts was with us one time and we talked him into towing a car in the parking lot after the show. So I don't remember if it was my brother, because my brother's our drummer. If it was my brother or a guitar player at the time, sat in the passenger seat so that way he could like steer it. And Stretch Nuts pulled the car with his balls and they would get so tight and shiny. It looked like his balls were going to pop out and he'd have to picture like marbles running through the parking lot or something, you know?
Damn.
So he towed the car and we were like, no way. And we have this on VHS. That's how old school this is. We have a recording of it. So he said, no way. The parking lot had to have been tilted or something. So he towed it the opposite way to prove that he was towing it with his balls. He towed a car in California. So he would get hyper and he would get crazy. And then, of course, we're all laughing and doing all this shit and goofing around. But he was the type of friend where he'd come up and he'd like jab you right in the ribs or like titty twister you. And you're like, dude, settle down. He'd get all hyper and excited. And this is also pre-energy drinks. I don't know where he got his energy from, but his balls made him extra hyper. So he would always come up and like grab you and pinch you and twist you and try and like give you like BB britches or whatever all those dumb kid games are and stretch. And finally, one of the times I was like, Stretch, bro, I got a show. You can't settle the fuck down. Come on, I'm Tinder. I'm like a Tinder Bear. And then we all started laughing, and that's how the nickname came, is because Stretch Nuts was being too rough with me, and I told him that I was Tinder Bear. So now people actually call me TB or Tinder Bear and whatever, but I'm very passive and very gentle and mild-mannered, except for when we're on stage. Then I like to get hyper, and I get hyper at 2 times, on stage or at Disneyland, because at Disneyland I get excited and run around and get all. But it's a long story, but that's how Tinder Bear came about. I kind of gave it to myself as a joke, in a sense, to tell him to leave me the fuck alone. But
okay, so
now you got a nickname.
Okay, so it's Tender Bear, not Tinder Bear.
Yeah, not like Tinder, the dating app. This is before dating apps like that shit. I'm OG, like Tinder, like gentle, like don't give me titty twisters, Stretch Nuts kind of Tinder.
Like a Care Bear, Tinder Bear.
Exactly, yeah. So then my sister even got me the Tender Heart Bear for Christmas one year, so I have a Care Bear collection too. Yeah.
Oh man, because he typed it out as Tinder Bear, and I was like, oh man, are you like a crazy serial Tinder dater or something?
This is way older than this. This is way cooler than that.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, I never expected to be getting told stories about men pulling cars with their balls on Talking Shop with the Boss of the Box. Like, no, I'm excited.
I also got really, really good at dead fingering, if you know what that is, where you take your finger and you get it loose and you whap. Yeah. So me and our old guitar player DJ used to do that to each other's heads everywhere we'd go, and you'd get like crazy, like loud noises and hurt your fingers. And at one point, Stretch Nuts had his nuts stretched all the way out, and I dead fingered his balls. I was afraid they were going to explode open because they were tight. And instantly it welted his balls, the whole shape of my finger, and you could see my knuckle lines and everything. And he's like, oh, yeah, you got me in the little bits on that one, Tender Bear.
Ouch.
I dead fingered Stretch's nuts before too, but that was years and years ago. I'm still good at dead fingering, but I haven't dead fingered anybody's nuts in a long time. And it wasn't like unexpected. He was ready for it.
Right. He had his balls presented.
Yeah, it wasn't like one of those. It wasn't one of those nut check games that people do. And I was like, dude, I got a fucking show to do. You can't be nut checking me before I got to jump around on stage. So it was a well-deserved and well-wanted nut flick.
We got a shout out from Tyler Ash. He says, "What's up?"
Yes, Tyler, what's up from Clovis, New Mexico? How are you? That's my friend from New Mexico.
Dude, so I gotta ask, looking back on Hemlock's discography, like, I mean, you guys, according to Spotify, and I don't know if there's more, but you released your first EP in 1996. Is that right?
That was the first full length we did. So yeah, because we did cassettes before that, so I don't think that Spotify has any of the old cassette stuff.
That would be really cool. Let's bring on the cassette section.
Yeah, actually, when we were on tour in Switzerland this last 3 years ago, I can't even count the last 2 years because we haven't done any shows. It's been so weird. That's the longest we've ever gone without any shows since I was 15 years old. Even when I had to have back surgery, we were only down for like 4 months. But when we were in Switzerland just like 3 years ago, there was like a new metal 2-singer hardcore band, and they had cassettes for sale at their merch. It was awesome. And they like spray painted all the cases and did them all. It was cool merch to see cassettes coming back.
Oh, that's badass.
So starting in 96, I gotta say, man, like, you guys are the most consistent in releasing albums I've seen from pretty much anybody up until 2004. And then the next release after that was 2011. What was that break?
We actually had a re-release. There was another album in there. There must be one Spotify. Because No Time for Sorrow came out, I think, in 2008.
Oh.
But I don't know. Is No Time for Sorrow on there? I don't know. I can't keep up with Spotify. I'm not sure.
So, according to good old Spotify, we
did a re-release. I'm sorry to cut you off. We did a re-release of Bleed the Dream. That's the album that I probably might have met Dave on. Was Bleed the Dream that era?
2004.
Or if not, maybe, yeah. So I think I met you the year or two before, but Bleed the Dream came out. We did My Eyes Itch. We did a bunch of touring, and we actually got a record deal from Candlelight Records and did a re-release of that album where it came out. I think it came out a second time in 2007 or something like that for Bleed the Dream. I don't remember exactly the right years. I've headbanged a lot, but so it came out, and then we toured with Obituary, and we toured with Ministry, and we toured with a bunch of big bands during that same tour cycle. So there was a re-release in the middle that actually was out that we toured on, and we actually just started going super crazy on. We did like an 8-month tour one of those years. I don't remember which year it was. It was like crazy long. It was easier to be on the road and touring than it was to try and come home and figure out what to do.
Hey, fuck it. If you got the resources, do it.
Yeah. And then I think No Time for Sorrow came out in 2008, if I remember right. Maybe 2009. I don't know.
According to Spotify, right or wrong, I don't know. According to Spotify, it says 2011.
2011 for No Time for Sorrow?
So I don't know.
Crazy. Yeah. Maybe that's... Yeah, I think that year might be off. I don't know. but because then The Only Enemy came out in 2012, and I know we didn't do a year back to back like that, so that year must be off. But
Yeah.
I don't know. We try to stay pretty consecutive with releases. It's usually anywhere between 2 years to 4 years, depending on how much touring we do in between. Because when we're also on tour, we don't have like free time, because I also drive the bus and book the tours and stage manage and all that stuff. So we don't really rehearse even that much, let alone write new songs, because we're always on tour.
Fuck. Apparently, because not only is Tyler Ash here, but Tyler said to say his mom says hi.
Yeah, what's up, Tyler's mom? All right, on. He gave me a bandana years ago, and he said, keep it with you everywhere you go on tour. So I hung it on the mirror in the bus, and it goes all around the country with us. So he asks me about it every time we see him. You got the bandana still? I'm like, yep, still repping it.
That's dope.
Oh, and you're checking in.
That's dope. I like that.
Like I said, you're checking in, letting him know you still got it.
Yep.
So of all these albums, which one's the most special to you? Like, which one of your albums really matter? Because I know they're all very personal.
Yeah. They're all like
one?
chapters. They're all like chapters in the book. Like if you ask stories, I'll remember funny stories or funny things from each era. Pigeonholed was kind of a breakthrough album, even though Shutdown we actually came out with, and that was the one that we first started really touring more regionally on and meeting more friends. And like when you go to the Jack in the Box drive-through in Phoenix, Arizona, and you're pulling through, and then the guy at the drive-through working there is like, oh, you guys are in Hemlock, huh? And we're like, oh, hell yeah. And people are singing the words in different cities. That was a big deal for us with Shutdown, because that was like where you're like, man, we're like 10 hours from home and they're screaming along. Nobody knows what a killer looks like. And you could stop the part and they scream it and do it. And then Pigeonholed, we actually recorded with Mikey Doling and from Soulfly, and he was the guitar player in Snot for years and years. And he's in Channel Zero now, but we recorded that one in Malibu, California. And then that one was kind of like an elevated, where we started getting record industry people interested and started getting bigger tours. We toured with Chimera, we toured with Hatebreed, we toured with all kinds of kick-ass bands in that Pigeonholed era. But then we did Bleed the Dream, and Bleed the Dream, that album has so many classic songs that they put it on the Jägermeister CD sampler. So I think they did like 300,000 copies of that. So there was people all around the whole United States like, oh, play My Eyes Itch, play My Eyes Itch, or something like that. So that was a cool album, but No Time for Sorrow was the first one that we actually had a legitimate signing, and we toured with Ministry and Meshuggah on that album. That was a great tour. So, I mean, there's stories with all of it. I mean, the new ones, the lyrics, we came out with 2 albums this last February, the lyrics and the songs and everything. It was the first time we were never pressured in the studio to rush and get done, or we weren't running out of money because we had nothing but time, because all of our tour plans got messed up. We were supposed to go to Europe for like 3 months in 2020, and it didn't happen. So we're like, well, now we got time, so let's finish these songs we've been working on. And we wound up coming up with like 9, like, damn, all these songs are pretty hot. I can't cut any of them out. It's like telling you to try and pick your favorite kid, which one are you going to hang over the cliff and which one are you going to let drop, Like, I can't cut any of these songs out. They're all great songs. So what we did is we wound up writing 3 more songs and made 22 songs, so we could do 11 on each album. We came out with 2 albums, and the songs are they're more true to Hemlock, because there was no outside rush. There was no outside person telling us, oh, you can't do the yeah part or whatever. And I'm like, well, that's the part I wanted to do. So since we were so hands-on and involved with no time rush, it's got it's the truest Hemlock albums on the 2 new ones, even though all of them are true. I mean, we don't ever try to rush through anything. And I like to write lyrics that actually mean something that kids can relate to. Speaking about your jacket, I like to write lyrics that people can actually think about, and so there's lots of albums. I think we've come out with 11 albums or something like that. I don't know what Spotify says. We should check it and see how many albums we've done.
Google said 8.
8?
Yeah, Google said 8. But that's not including these last 2 if you're counting those. And
I think there's a live album in there too that might, or no, they're the one like because we did a thing with our old cassettes where we took them to the studio and actually got them remixed and remastered and did a release of like 17 tracks of the old before the first CD full-length release. So maybe it's that one too. I'm not sure. But there's a lot of songs, a lot of headbang, and a lot of words to memorize. So
my question for that was like, as I was kind of going through the discography, listening to as many songs as I could within a week, I realized that you guys kind of sound like, you guys are very Hatebreed heavy in my head.
We toured with them a bunch when they were first coming up. Yeah.
So my question to you is, what are some of the core influences in the band, including you?
When we were kids, it was everything that we grew up listening to. You just take it and put it into a blender, and you sprinkle some Hemlock No More was always one of my favorite bands growing up. So when you hear the little ha 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 or the yeah in the background of the vocals, that's where I get my quirkiness from Mike Patton. I always loved it. But as far as like the heaviness goes, old school Sepultura and old school Biohazard and Propane, those were all three because it was before we had even heard Hatebreed at all. And there was a band named Fight that we actually opened up for with Rob Halford. We played with Fight. That was a big influence on us in the early days. Old school Suicidal Tendencies, that was a huge influence on the initial startup, but I'd say that Sepultura and Biohazard and Propane were our three biggest influences back in the day. And then of course, as you go, and we've been out so long, you hear Machine Head, Burn My Eyes album. You're like, oh man, this is the raddest album ever, and then of course Slayer. I can't ever deny there's always Slayer influences sprinkled throughout the more of the thrash stuff. We played with DRI when we were kids, so that was an early thrash kind of crossover punk, metal nation. And then of course, Korn comes out and influences every single band in the world. So
all of them.
And it was funny because our old guitar player actually used to wear Adidas pants because of Korn, but I always was like, I like Korn. I'm no disrespect. I love them. I think they're a great band, but I don't ever want to wear Adidas pants on stage, and I don't want to hunch over and play because we're Hemlock. But we definitely got influences from Korn and all that, that era of music. But then I even love old stuff like The Doors and Creedence Clearwater and Eddie Money. So I try to tell people, I'm like, there's certain bands, like we did some dates with Darkest Hour, and Darkest Hour shreds, but there's so many riffs and so much going on, it works for them. But Hemlock's more stripped back to where it's more structured and more catchy of songs that I want to write the hooks to where people could scream along and sing along. And my all-time favorite metal band, early influence is Pantera, of course. That was a big influence because we saw Pantera on the Vulgar Display of Power tour. And it was just one of those shows to where it was like amazing start to, end. But that's going back to my whole thing where the audience is screaming the words and everybody feels like they're part of it and they're bobbing their head. And it's a whole element instead of just going up there and shredding as fast as you can or whatever. If you want to write a song that's a and it's just a real simple riff, and that's what the song calls for, then that's what it calls for. But then some of our songs we have, having 28 years, you don't want to re-record the same song over and over again. So some of our stuff shreds, some of it's thrash, some of it's death metal. Like I love Suffocation and Cephalic Carnage, but then I also love Foo Fighters. So there's weird elements in Hemlock where we have like a little bit of two-step, a little bit of harmony, but then it'll go into this guttural, real heavy Cannibal Corpse, or whatever. It just, so it's funny because over the years we've toured with Saliva and we've toured with Disturbed, but we've also toured with Cattle Decapitation and Misery Index. I don't know any other band that could bridge that gap where you could tour with Head PE or you could tour with Slayer or, and still do good and get when we played with Disturbed, I'm like, we're going to be too heavy. This is going to be crazy, but you're not going to say no to a show that big. It's going to be awesome. And we went out and just kicked into Nobody Knows What a Killer Looks Like, and there was 3 mosh pits all at one time. And this is killer. But then you go out and you tour with Obituary, and we're like, we're not going to be heavy enough. This is going to be crazy. And you go out, you just kick into Nobody Knows What a Killer Looks Like, and there's mosh pits going. And it's cool because we have enough variety. And I tell people, I'm like, we have the catchiness of Eddie Money, but the heaviness of Sepultura, and somewhere in there you got Hemlock, So
So it's safe to say that Hemlock's based on the roar of the crowd.
We're a live band, yes. We've written songs purposely for like parts where people will jump and the kind of feedback you get from, Circle Pit. You're like, yeah, we got to put that part here and this part there or whatever.
It shows. I mean, that's where I was introduced, and I've always enjoyed your banner. I've always enjoyed the way you interact with the crowd, the way, as I put in the post earlier, fucking arms to the sky and feet off the floor. That's how we get down around here. Yeah. And but in addition to all those great live antics, there's some, I was worried about calling you on the carpet but after hearing about stretch nuts and balls being, towing cars, I am now totally comfortable being like,
gives me more street cred because I got towed from the stretch nuts.
Well, no, it just makes it to where it's like, you know what? All right, people say nothing's off limits, and we've had those moments where we ask a guest something, and they back off, and we're like, I thought you said everything was cool. So my question to you, Chad, is spin loogies on low ceilings and catching them in your mouth. Stuffing your dreads up your nose and rubbing them on audience members. What the fuck is wrong with you?
I love it that you pay attention. I haven't spit a loogie on a ceiling in years. And what's funny is my wife brought it up to me about a week ago, and we were telling our other friends about it. And I would spit these gnarly loogies on the ceiling right above when I was playing. And then I'd go back to jamming, and then I'd look up and I'd check on it, and I'd be going, and then it would start dripping down all nasty. And then it would catch in my mouth, and I'd spit it to the side. I never swallowed it because that would just be disgusting, But
oh, yeah, that's gross.
And I forgot, sticking the dreadlocks up my nose. Yeah, that's a good one.
Rubbing them on people. And
I could sum it up easier is because years and years ago, when I started doing the lead vocals, because I started out, before we were Hemlock, I was doing background vocals and bass guitar. But then when we took it as Hemlock, I was doing lead vocals, and I was like, I want to be able to be a good front man, and I want to still be able to interact, but my hands aren't free because I'm playing bass guitar. So I've just come up with all these weird, silly, might go back to the Mike Patton quirkiness. I don't know. I've heard that he peed in his shoe and drank it on stage one time or something like that. And I'm not going to go that far or anything, But it's just the weird, funny antics and pulling my dreads and picking my nose and just trying to be lighthearted about it and having fun, It's rock and roll. It's not rocket science. I want people to enjoy themselves, and I like to make people smile and laugh. And so, yeah, there was a time I think we were at the knitting factory in Reno or one of those, and I spit this loogie up, and of course the ceiling's like 50 feet tall or whatever. Spit this loogie up, came back down and caught it in my mouth, and then spit it back out. But it was like this huge 30-foot arc of loogie up in the air, and our friends filmed it. So they used to put it on forward and backward and forward and backward, and this loogie would just go up and down and up and down and up and down. But I don't know. I'm easily entertained. Actually, here's a real good explanation for your question, Dave, because none of it's off limits. My brain was warped as a child from Garbage Pail Kids. That's what it is.
That is an acceptable answer. That is 100% like okay, because I grew up in that era too.
I wear Garbage Pail Kids shirts every day of my life almost. I make them with iron-ons. I'm wearing one right now. I'm wearing Beastie Boy. So that probably has more to do with the nose picking and the loogies and all that silly fun stuff. But I just like to entertain and make people laugh, But then the music is always totally the lyrical content is always totally serious and good. But then when we film videos or when we do live shows, we like to fuck around and have a fun time. I hope that sums it up.
That's
okay.
Perfect.
Oh, dude, once again, better than I could have asked for. Brandon, do you got another one, or do you want to go ahead and show an example of Hemlock being ridiculous and play this next video?
Yeah, we can play a video, man. So, okay, so Mr. Lunchbox went through the videos, and he picked a random video. He picked dehumanization.
Oh,
that wasn't random.
Oh?
The food fight video.
Yeah. I watched 20 videos and had to write a list.
We actually don't have a budget because we're always ballers on a budget. We don't have a record label. We don't have a rich uncle. We don't sell weed, we don't have money. So we're always trying to come up with creativity for the cheapest possibilities. So we're let's come up with some fun ideas for videos. So this one, we were like, you know what's epic? A food fight. Let's have a food fight in the end of this video. You know what else is epic? Slip and sliding into beer cans and naked guitar players dancing around the fire. So we actually filmed this video ourselves. And I'm not a video editor extraordinaire or anything, but I actually edited this video myself too, and watched all these YouTube tutorials because we didn't have money to pay anybody. So I edited the video, and we came up with all this brainstorm, like this list of ideas, like, all right, we're going to throw a watermelon on our guitar player's head, and we're going to squirt mustard at each other. And a list of video antics, and that's dehumanization, because the whole concept of the song is that everybody walks around on their cell phones like zombies and nobody interacts anymore. And one of the lines in the song says, social skills replaced by a bottle of pills. And I'm talking about just that people should live life and not be so attached to all the technology, like go out and smile, say hi, go goof around. So the beginning of the video, it has everybody on their phone. And then I take one of the phones and I think I hit it with a baseball bat or throw it into a cornfield, and then all hell breaks loose, and we have fun because we got rid of all of our tie downs.
Well, let's take a few minutes and check this out.
Sweet.
This is dehumanization. Okay, well, hold on a second. As we're figuring that out, turns out the sound is not working on it. So let me fix this real quick. That's new. Oh, I know why. No, the sound isn't glitching. For some reason, the sound is not working. So, I'm going to try another method.
Probably whoever edited the video didn't do it right.
No, so when I got the video, for some reason the video is working, but there is no sound attached to it, so I got a bunk video. So I'm going to go the other way, and I'm actually going to pull it up on YouTube itself. And
sweet, we get a bonus view that way. Thanks.
Absolutely. So,
I was gonna say we could do it that way, or we could even just like play it silently and just run our mouths incessantly.
So there's a part where a guitar player runs around the fire, and I told him, I said, yeah, we're gonna make him naked, and they all started laughing, and I'm like, yeah, you have to streak in the video. It's like the thing, you know. So I had to follow scene by scene on the video, following his crotch, and because he was jumping and running sideways, his wang was flying all over the place, and I had to put that little smiley face because I don't know how to edit and don't know how to do CGI. So I actually had to spend like 3 hours just on that little 2-second clip following his wang to make sure it was all blurred out.
You have never stared at a man's dick for so long, have you?
Yeah, it's so pay close attention. Maybe we could push it like on repeat when it gets to that part. I spent 2 hours with it. It's your guys' turn.
all right, so I think. Oh, hold on. I almost had it. I almost had it. Okay, here we go. Let's see.
You used to could. Give us some time. You might have could again.
I got it.
I believe in you, Brandon. There we go.
Yeah. There we go. Watch for the wang.
Where we suck the living out of life, and now that our minds are gone.
Revitalization in this lifeless nation. Dehumanization. Now society is laid to waste with no courage to talk face to face. And now, when human interaction is gone, real friends replaced by digital ones. It is the end of the truth and design. Reality shows proceed was real in life. Can't say hello, can't shake a hand when you're preoccupied in cyberland. Bow your head in shame for a video game. Bow your head, 'cause you're caught and tangled in web. Bow your head for no one. Bow your head for nothing. Time to live for something. Seize the game. Dehumanization in this capitalist nation. Dehumanization. Revitalization in this lifeless nation. Dehumanization.
Rude boy!
Dehumanization.
I haven't seen that video in years.
How the fuck is your brother nothing on his face?
That is a ridiculous video.
Like I said, how the fuck did your brother nothing on his face at the end of that video?
Yeah, I don't know. He probably came up with that idea. I came up with the spaghetti blast to the head. That one got James, the guitar player. To get a handful of spaghetti to the head definitely is a strange feeling.
My buddy's mom gave me the eat it or wear it speech one time over spaghetti, and I just looked her in the eyes and just wore it like a hat.
Yes. My brother probably wussed out because he wears contacts, and he's probably like, I can't get pie in my contacts or whatever. I don't know. Who knows? That's a ridiculous video. I forgot about the potato bag race, but we had garbage bags and
That was my favorite because you use garbage bags.
Garbage bags, and we bought that pool from like Walmart for like $20. I want to guess that we probably spent like a whopping $200 on that video, and that counts like, you know, the beer and stuff and whatever for the slip and slide and the groceries, the mustard that we had to waste, you know. I don't know. We're easily entertained.
Dude, that was great.
Ain't nothing wrong with simple but effective.
We have a little like 20-second video that we filmed ourselves brushing our teeth with mustard on toothbrushes in front of the Eiffel Tower in Paris.
Why?
I came up with this idea on tour. Maybe it's because I don't drink, because I have too much free time when I'm driving, so I come up with all these crazy ideas. But over in Europe, they sell this mustard, and it's called Tommy mustard. But it looks like it's toothpaste because it's in the same kind of container. So we made jokes all along the tour, like, oh, we should totally film a skit brushing your teeth with this mustard. And as it evolved, we talked about it for like 2 months. So we bought specific thing of Tommy mustard. And I was like, we need something epic in the background. So let's do it right in front of the Eiffel Tower in France when we're there. So it's like all beautiful scenery. So we all put mustard on our toothbrush. We had one guitar player that wouldn't do it because he hated mustard. We're like, well, it's going to make it funnier because then you're going to throw up and it's going to be great. So we're brushing our teeth, and it's so weird because at first you're like, yeah, it's no big deal. It's just mustard. But then you're used to like getting that minty taste from toothpaste and stuff. And as you go and you go and you go to like try and like spit, it's all mustardy.
Ah.
So then as one guy starts to like Ralph and kind of like maybe not throw up all the way, but dry heave at first, then the other ones start chucking, and then everybody starts throwing up, and then you're laughing and your eyes are watering, and then you have this epic video of brushing your teeth with mustard in front of the Eiffel Tower. Why not? It's great.
What the fuck?
You know, awesome adventures on the road. Since we're not throwing TVs out of second-story balconies like Motley Crue, we're brushing our teeth with mustard instead.
Right, you're doing all the crazy shit that you can afford to do.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like, you know, you're leaving all the big screen TVs and sound systems alone, but you're throwing the cups, the napkins, and the mustard all over the place. Like, who gives a shit?
Yeah, and we're having our friends hang things from their balls. Why not?
All right, so I think it's time to play a short little game. I think you're gonna completely ace this because you've been saying names, band names all night long. You've been talking about stories and tour stories and name dropping here, name dropping there. Well, this game that I put together, and we do this for every single guest, you know, and we kind of tailor the games to every single guest. You know, we had Gershok on here. We talked about you know, Devin Townsend. We had the Randy Savages on here. We talked about Macho Man Randy Savage and all those kind of things. Well, this game, it's a very simple game. This game is a memory game. I'm going to tell you a band, and I want you to tell me if they played with you or if you opened for them. Just
Okay.
a little memory game.
All right.
To see who you pay attention to, if you saw them, if you remember them, etc., etc., etc. So,
All right.
very, very easy.
Interesting.
I
I headbang a lot. That's my disclaimer, but I hope I do good.
think you'll do good, man. But you have a tough act to follow. Currently, the Randy Savages are 10 out of 10. So
Okay.
let's see if you can beat 10 out of 10 based on your own memory.
You got 12 questions for me then?
Well, what's that?
You got 12 questions for me then, so hopefully I can win.
I was going to say, actually, I'm tied for 10 out of 11 with Randy Savages from the craft beer competition.
Sweet.
That's right. That's right. Okay.
Because you gave me a bonus question.
That's right. Okay. So, band number 1. And I'll give you a bonus point if you can remember a date, if it happened or not. So,
Damn. How about a venue instead of a date? I won't remember dates, but I probably remember a
venue's
venue.
cool. Okay.
All right.
This band, they're called Hysteria.
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 I don't think we ever played with Hysteria. That's a Def Leppard album, but I don't think we... I hope I don't lose on the first question. Hysteria. If we did, it would have been in the Bay Area, and I would guess Hobie's at Concord, but I'm not sure if we played with Hysteria or not. It doesn't sound familiar. I'm going to have to say no.
I like how you shot for the bonus point in your doubt.
I'll tell you this. You were absolutely right in terms of the Bay Area. So, I don't know.
Oh, damn, right on. I won't take the point, though. How did you find that flyer? That's crazy.
Google is a beautiful thing, man. So, this Hemlock show opened with LD50, The Smiths, and Hysteria. So,
what in the Timeout? Oh, the Timeout Tavern. That would have been that Chris Lamourie show probably back then.
Correct.
Yeah, crazy. I'm already lost one. Dave, you're already a champion more than me, but I got the Bay Area part. You don't have to give me a point,
I'll give you
though.
half a point because you did get the right area and pretty much the right venue. So I'll give you half a point. I'll give you 0.5.
So you can still beat Gershok.
you can still beat that. All right. The second one might be a little more obscure. We'll see. The band is called Slugnut.
Slugnut. Man, I usually design the flyers too, so I was thinking I was going to do good at this game, but Slugnut. We played with the band named Maggot Twat before, and that's what I'm thinking of, but I don't know if we played with the Slugnut.
You made Brandon choke on his water over there.
Yeah.
Just by saying the word slug nut repeatedly.
Slugnut. I'm going to have to say no, but if we did, it sounds like something we would have played with in Tahoe. And I'm not trying to earn half of a point. I'm going to have to say no. I don't recognize Slugnut either.
Well,
damn it.
We have Obituary, Alabama Thunder Pussy, Full Blown Chaos, Hemlock, and Slugnut.
Slugnut. So that same tour is when we played with Maggot Twat, but Maggot Twat was in Indianapolis. Slugnut, that show, Volume 11, that was in North Carolina. Dang, that's crazy. I missed 2 of them so far. That's a rad flyer. That dude's got some pink eye or something. Yeah, that was a good tour. We toured with Obituary for like 2.5 months, something like that. It was crazy long tour. It was awesome.
Scotty McRib, the bass player from Gershok, actually says, "Fuck, I love Alabama Thunder Pussy."
Yeah, Alabama Thunder Pussy. I didn't realize it at the time until we toured with them, but their singer, oh shit, I'm gonna mess up his name. I was just thinking I was gonna do good for a second. He was in that band called. They were from New Orleans. Oh, man, I'm messing up now. I was trying to show off for a second. I headbanged.
Backfire!
They were signed to Roadrunner Wreck Floodgate. Kyle from Alabama Thunder Pussy used to sing for Floodgate is what it was back in the day, and then they had their other band before that, but some old Roadrunner Records band. So then when Alabama Thunder Pussy came out, we're like, no way, we saw Floodgate on our Hell Tour 96. We saw them open for Crowbar out in New Orleans, something like that, like years and years ago. And just small world, because then he also did his other band before that. I can't think of the name, but that's the one that Phil from Pantera also got an early inspiration from. Disorder? No, something like that.
One of our regular listeners said it's Soylent Green.
I don't know if Soylent Green. He might have been, because that was a New Orleans band. But I was thinking of what's the name? I thought maybe it was Disorder or something like that from before that.
Oh, also that same listener said that this show for the first time has made him want to throw up when talking about you catching loogies.
Wait, who is this?
They have asked to remain anonymous, so you can probably guess.
Oh yeah, okay, I know who it is.
I don't swallow them, so that's the okay part. It's that garbage pill kid inside of me. So now I missed Slugnut. I apologize to you, Slugnut, North Carolina. You're going deep on these flyers.
To be fair, man, I've been playing shows and designing flyers and doing the same shit that you've been doing for all these years as well. I probably couldn't do as well as you. So, yeah. I would.
Right now, you couldn't hold an 0-2 record, Brandon?
No, probably not.
Yeah, but you wouldn't remember the venue.
No, absolutely not. Okay, number three. This is a band called Shake Fist.
Oh yeah, I remember Shake Fist. They're from Billings, Montana, I believe. And there was a show, we did a Halloween show, and their singer was dressed up as the Joker.
Ooh.
So it would have been Montana. I'm assuming trying to think if they ever did any out-of-town shows with us. Oh, Montana, right on. Shake Fist, yes.
Yeah. They opened for you guys. 16 bands, 2 stages. One hell of a good time.
Jeez,
that looks like a good time.
That's a lot of bands.
All right, so you're 1 out of 2, my friend.
Sweet.
1.5
1.5 out of 3.
Yeah. Yep, so you're halfway there. Living on a prayer.
All right, so I'll throw you some softballs here. So, what about the band Insight?
Oh, yeah, we just toured with them not too long ago. That's Richie Cavalera's band. Toured with them in Devil Driver and Holy Grail. That was a good tour.
That's right.
Richie Cavalera. we played with Soulfly years and years ago, and he was a young lad. I think it was Soulfly, Snot, Head PE, and Hemlock, and we were doing a show at the Huntridge in the house in Las Vegas, and Richie was like maybe 10 or 11 years old, and he would come out and sing Bleed with Soulfly. But a few years before that, when Lynn was, oh no, that would have been when Lynn was alive. Lynn would come out and do Bleed, but then we played with Soulfly a couple of years later, and that's when Richie would cover and do that stuff. But then he wound up starting his own band called Insight, toured with them for, I think we did like almost a month with Devil Driver. That was a good tour.
Yeah, and, I've met Dez a few times. He seems like a real cool dude.
Yeah, real laid back, just chill. We played with Cold Chamber probably like 4 or 5 times also before they split up.
That's dope. That's dope. Okay, number 5, Whitechapel.
Oh yeah, good old Whitechapel. Those guys are awesome. We played with them on the Rockstar Mayhem Festival. They were opening this. Oh yeah, there it is right there. So it was rad because I never had met them before, but I dig their stuff, and I talked to the guys. Like, oh yeah, we've heard of Hemlock before, and just kind of hit it off right away. And they were opening the 3rd stage, and we were opening the 2nd stage, so we were side by side, and they had to go on right before us, which was also awesome because it gave people more time to come in through the gate. And then I hear this real heavy guttural voice over there, like, "Give it up for my new homies in Hemlock." So Whitechapel gave us a shout out. It was cool. That was years ago.
I have a Whitechapel moment where, like, I was at the Oakland Metro, and they were headlining that show, and my buddy let me in, so I was able to just kind of chill on the side of the stage, watching them play, and all of a sudden, Phil, the singer, comes off. I think that's his name, Phil. Comes off, and he goes behind the stage, and he goes by some like vocal rack that he has back there, and he just pulls out the fattest bong that I've ever seen. It takes the biggest bong rip I have ever seen anybody take, just lets it out, and then lets it out, jumps back on stage, and just starts doing what he's doing again. I was just like,
good set, huh? That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, so that was fun to see. What about 36 Crazy Fists?
Oh yeah, that was a good tour. Those are our friends from Alaska that also relocated to Portland, and we toured with them in Chimera and Brand New Sin? It was the Chimera tour. Diecast, were Diecast on that tour? I don't know. It was the Pass Out of Existence tour from Chimera. So we did like a month or 3 weeks with those guys, something like that.
Yeah. I couldn't find that one, but I did find this one, so absolute points. This was another Mayhem Festival.
Yeah, they were on that one too. That's right.
They're down here on the bottom, but still badass. Still one of my favorite bands, personally. I love those guys.
I was gonna say, I love 36 Crazy Fists.
Yeah, they're awesome. I think that was the first year of the Rockstar Mayhem Festival too. By looking at that poster, that was because before that it was always Ozfest, and we never played on any Ozfests. But Jägermeister back in the day would always throw us some bones, and we'd get to do some of those big tours like that.
Dude, I remember when everybody was sponsored by Jaeger, and I know you guys were one of the first bands to do that. Like,
yeah.
But even like every local band from around here had a Jaeger sponsorship.
It was a rad program that they had because it helped out so many bands and just helped out with like promo items and just everything. It was a whole community within itself.
Yeah, I was gonna say I've still got my Hemlock shot glass over there, along with my Stig Murder threefold, like venting machine. Like I've got hella fucking
Stig Murder. I forgot about them. We played with them in Merced at that club, whatever that.
At the Mainzer Theater.
Mainzer, yeah, we played with them in Merced. That's right, Stig Murder. We played with them a few different times. We probably played with them at the Fat Cat too.
You played with them in Los Banos at least twice.
What was the name of that barbecue place we used to always play?
Gino's Smokehouse.
Yeah, the barbecue. Gino's. Yeah, we played there 3 or 4 times with you guys.
And then I moved you guys down the street to Jan's Pub and Grub, another bar and grill joint that had a spare room.
Yeah.
That, was dedicated just to the show. So it made life a little easier where we weren't playing between booths.
That's right. Yeah. Jan's Pub and Grub. I actually have kept one flyer from every show we've done too over the years. So I have like boxes and boxes and stacks of flyers. So I'm sure I have flyers from Jan's Pub and Grub somewhere.
Dude, if you find any of the hand-drawn ones that my boy Inmar did, just shoot me a picture off your phone of them.
I'll check it out. If I come across, I'll send them to you.
Oh, dude, that'd be fucking sweet.
But
That was good times.
But have you played with a band called Poon Hammer?
Yeah, Poon Hammer. Our friends from Salt Lake. We've done a bunch of shows with them. So, yeah, Salt Lake right there. Poon Hammer. That's a great band name. We played with them probably at least 15 times, I'm guessing. And now some of the guys are also in Andrew W. Boss, which they tour a lot too with Head PE and stuff like that.
Yep, friend of the show, Mike Vanek is big on Poon Hammer, and he was a roadie on a tour with the Twisted and the Moonshine Bandits and Andrew W. Boss. He speaks really highly of them.
Sweet. Yeah, I haven't heard from Mike V in a long time. How's he doing?
He's out there. He's doing a blog and a bit of a podcast. Like I say, he's looming around in the background.
If you see him before I do, tell him I say hello.
Absolutely.
All right. So how about Hatebreed?
Oh, yeah.
Gosh, Brandon, you went
Yeah.
from balls to fucking. This is like kickball with the giant earth ball.
Our one of our old guitar players actually was a huge. That's a good poster right there. That's one of the posters I don't have, but our old guitar player still has it. I need to actually like somehow get it from him or have him make me a copy. But yeah, that's Slayer. That was in that was in Columbus. But yeah, Hatebreed. Our old guitar player made this huge vinyl decal for the back of his Volkswagen Rabbit, and it was before Perseverance or anything had come out. I think Satisfaction of the Death of Desire had just come out. So it was this huge Hatebreed sticker that was probably like 3 or 4 feet wide and 1.5 feet tall. And they were still like just East Coast hardcore at the time and didn't really come out to the West Coast as much. And then we were doing really, really good in the Southwest and just blowing it up. So we time that they would come around, we would link up and we would do shows with them. And then one of our deals with Hatebreed, actually, I got a story about that. Their manager at the time had got a hold of our manager, and at the time Hatebreed was drawing like 200 people a show or 300 people a show in Vegas, and we were drawing like 1,000 people a show because it was our stomping grounds, and we were working the hell out of it, promoting like crazy. So they wanted us to do a Tuesday night show at the House of Blues in Las Vegas, which a Tuesday night's hard to pack a place anywhere, but they wanted us to headline, and we were like, no way, we're not going to headline. But they were like, no, numbers for numbers, it makes sense for Hemlock to headline, Hatebreed direct support. And then, so at the time, the promoter guy wanted to stack it up really, really strong. And he put Slaves on Dope right before Hatebreed and put Death by Stereo on right before them. And then there was a local hardcore band called Curl Up and Die, which they got kind of big in the hardcore scene, and they opened it up. So we headlined this whole beast. And we had 1,200 people on a Tuesday night. It was epic. And the guys in Hatebreed were so stoked because they said it was one of the best shows of that run of that tour because Perseverance wasn't even out yet. Or if it was just barely like brand new. I don't remember. It was just, they were more on the underground still. But we were like, we're at home. We don't care or need the money as much as we want to do shows. So whatever the door makes or whatever, make sure that Hatebreed gets taken care of as long as we get to go on the road with you guys. So Hatebreed took us out with them for like 2 weeks as kind of the trade-off for that one show.
Hell yeah.
So we just kind of like, you guys keep the money, we don't care. We want to go out on the road. So we went out to Texas. We went through New Mexico and just kind of became friends with them early in the day. And then we did another Hatebreed run with Hatebreed, Poison the Well, Bane, and What Feeds the Fire.
Ooh.
That was a rad
man.
run. We did.
Speaking my language.
We did a few weeks with that tour, and then Jägermeister called. Like, hey, you guys want to tour with Slayer? And we're like, yes, of course. And that was that tour. It was Slayer, Hatebreed, Arch Enemy, and Hemlock. And Jägermeister at the time didn't have as many bands on the program, so they said that they would give us 2 weeks. I think they gave Sworn Enemy 2 weeks, and then they gave somebody else another 2 weeks, and then a few other shows here and there. So Jägermeister asked where we wanted a tour, and I said as far away from home as possible because we need to build it up more. So we got to do this rad Slayer tour out on the East Coast as one of our first huge. I mean, we had been out OTEP and Chimera and even the smaller club dates with Hatebreed, but Slayer, I mean, come on, that's like winning the lottery. So our first night was in St. Paul, Minnesota, and we go out and there's like 3,000 people. We jam this huge show. We get everybody to do lighters, all that stuff. It was epic. And then the next day I was in the back dressing room and Kerry King's standing there, and I'm trying not to geek out and fanboy too much, because we're going to be on the road with them. But still, I went up to him and said, it's really, really an honor to be on tour with you guys. Of course, it's every metalhead's dream to tour with Slayer. I just wanted to thank you guys for the opportunity. So, yeah, man, right on, right on. So how'd you guys do last night? And I'm like, I think we did pretty good. He's all, did you get shit thrown at you? We're like, no. He's all, you guys did real good then. He's all, them Slayer fans are brutal. He's all, fuck yeah. And then we kind of became friends and hung out and got a photo with him wearing a Hemlock shirt from that same tour and just kind of joked around and became friends with his wife and him. And then like 5 years later, so we weren't like best friends or whatever, but 5 years later, I ran into him out in Anaheim at one of the after parties for the Jaeger tour or one of those like NAMM conventions or something. And I just went up, I'm like, hey, Kerry, I'm chatting with Hemlock. He's like, yeah, I know who you are. I always liked you guys. He's like, that's rad. I was like, they play with thousands of bands. I didn't expect him to remember me. So I almost was impressed with his memory game too, with Kerry King remembering. So then a couple of years later, we ran into him again and then became closer friends. And then long story short, I invited him to our show we were in Corona, California. I invited him to our show and he was like, you know what? He's all, last time I went to that club and I went to go see my friend and Fozzy, I kind of felt bad because like I go in to go support my friend and then everybody comes running up and wants to take pictures and me sign autographs. He's all, which I don't mind doing, but I just felt bad to kind of disrespect my friend's show. He's all, so listen, I'm not going to come to your show, but when you're done with your show, just come over to my fucking house. And we're like, oh, shit. All right. Yeah. We're like, fuck the show. We're going to come over to your house. Not fuck the show. The show was still epic and fun, but I'll tell you what, that was the fastest loadout we've ever had. We're like, we're going to Kerry King's house. So we get in I don't know if you've ever seen, but we have an old 35-foot school bus that we painted black. It looks like a prison bus, like the one on the beginning. It looks like the beginning of Oz, the HBO show. It looks like a prison bus. So we're going up this hill up in California to go to their house, and it's a gated community, and the dude won't let us in the gate because our bus is too ghetto. And we're like, no way, we're getting dissed. This sucks. So we're texting Kerry King's wife, Aisha, and she's like, hold on a second. So we call her. You hear her, my wife called her, and I'm sitting in the bus, and our bus just is this big old beater exhaust, and you hear Kerry King's wife in the background. I love her. She's an absolute sweetheart, but she's a firecracker. She's so funny. She's got like pentagrams tattooed in her armpits and everything. She's just crazy and funny and so hyper, but Kerry King is so passive and chill. So you hear her cussing in the background like, you motherfucker better let my friends in Hemlock through the gate. I'll get you fired tomorrow. And this dude's like, there's no King residence here. I promise you, you're at the wrong neighborhood. And like, no, they told us that this is the house. It's on GPS. And the dude's like, and you hear Aisha on the other phone, you motherfucker, you open that gate right now before I come fucking beat your ass. You let them in. And just yelling at this dude. So he's like, all right, listen. I'm going to let you guys in, but you can't spend the night because this is a really nice neighborhood and this bus it's just too much. You can't spend the night. You have to leave. We're like, well, we have to leave anyways. We got another show, but that was like so judgmental of us just rolling up in our ghetto bus. So I pull in and I'm driving the bus. I do this big U-turn and I pull up and you see Kerry King wearing his snow camo pants in the driveway and he's like waving us, and I'm just like freaking out that we're going to Kerry King's house and he's waving us. And I open up the door and I'm like, hey, Kerry, you want to tour the bus? He's like, fuck no, it probably smells horrible in there. Come on in, guys. And invited us into his house. We got to listen to the Repentless album in his kitchen on his laptop before the vocals were on it. He's like, you guys want to hear some Slayer? We're like, some of the new Slayer? We're like, yeah, fuck yeah. So he has like a little Marshall amplifier hooked up to his laptop, like a little thing. And he's playing us the new Repentless album. But his wife, Aisha, was talking to my wife, Jill, and she's like, come on, Jill, you don't want to listen to Slayer. That's boy shit. Let's go talk about some girl stuff like tampons or something. And in reality, she wanted to take my wife to show her the tour of the house, and she took her on the tour and showed her around and everything while we all listened to the Slayer album with Kerry King. And then Kerry King, also being a co-owner of Cold Cock Whiskey, was pouring out shots for everybody on his counter in his kitchen. And it's just a beautiful house. It's so awesome. And then you see all these like posters and memorabilia and stuff. And he's pouring these shots. He's all, Chad. And first of all, I'm already freaking out that he knows me by name too now, instead of just like Hemlock dude or whatever. But he's all, Chad, I remember you don't drink. So I'm pouring all these shots, and these two are for you, but I'm going to drink yours. And he pulls them close to him, and he drank my shots that he poured for me and knew that I had to drive the bus. By that time, Aisha and my wife came from downstairs or from upstairs, and we're looking at the Christ Illusion, the actual album cover painting. It's like an oil-based painting on the wall, but it doesn't have the Slayer logo. I'm like, this is like the real deal. This is like the real artwork, the commissioned painting. They're like, yeah. I'm like, man, that's so cool to see it. And then Aisha's like, tell him where that one was, Carrie. And she points up to like the second story part where the frame is, and it had the Show No Mercy post. And it was the original like artwork of the Show No Mercy album in a frame. And she's all, yeah. And he's like, oh, it was in a garbage bag, like just like wrapped up like in some plastic in the garage, just getting dust on it. She's also, yeah, I had him get it out so we could frame it and hang it up. That's like the original artwork from the first album. So it was cool seeing all that memorabilia, and the fact that he invited us into his home, because people ask us all the time that they're like, is Kerry King a dickhead? I heard he's a dick. And I'm like, he's one of the nicest down-to-earth dudes. If anybody deserved to be a dick in the metal, it should be Kerry King, because it's fucking Kerry King. He's in Slayer. You know, I said, but he was so awesome to invite us into his house and just treat us like friends and just shoot the shit, you know. And then another year went by, and he invited us to dinner, and me and my wife ordered macaroni and cheese and visited with him, and we were talking about movies, about Logan, the movie, the Wolverine movie, and sports and stuff. And my inner 15-year-old, when I'm listening to Slayer cassettes in my brother's truck, never would have thought that I was sitting there eating macaroni and cheese, visiting with fucking Kerry King. You know, he's a total nice, down-to-earth guy.
I think you have probably given us some of the best stories that we've ever had in 120 episodes of this podcast.
Well, I got about 27 more years to tell you, so we'll have to do a part 2 and a part 3, I guess.
Absolutely.
Oh, definitely, dude. You are welcome back anytime.
That's rad. I'm glad you guys are digging the stories, because sometimes I ramble.
Rambling is fine, man. Just... We got all the time in the world. So, speaking of which, though, let's move on. You've mentioned the band a bunch of times already, so I'm already going to give you this point. But tell us a little bit about Snot.
Oh yeah, Snot.
I forgot we were still, dude.
Right?
Yeah.
Like,
we're almost done.
Like,
yeah.
Turned into
That's
everything.
Good. So on that flyer right there, that was an awesome show. Incubus didn't play because they just started blowing up on the radio, and they pulled off that tour, so it wound up just being Hemlock, Head PE, Snot, and Soulfly. But that was a killer show, and we became friends with Snot. They were just a Santa Barbara like punk metal, just rad band, and high energy, real cool, down to earth guys. And their singer Lynn, I had an old Volkswagen van at the time that I had painted real ridiculous because I just love colorful, artful things. So I painted Oompa Loompas on the side of my van, and I have green flames behind the van, and it had this flaming Gumby that was morphed like behind. So it was green flames that morphed into a melting Gumby, and the gas cap of the Volkswagen van was the eyeball of Gumby. So you had to like put the key in it, open it to put gas in and stuff. It was a ridiculous van, and I named the van Chody, which a chode is the part between your balls and your taint. And because
y'all didn't know that.
Yeah. And because my name's Chad, I thought it was funny to name my van Chody. So I had this big sticker on the back named Chody and the van. And Lynn, the singer of Snot, we were there early loading into the thing. And he's like, man, I got to do some laundry. He's all, you mind taking me down the road? And I'm like, yeah, you got to ride in Chody. You got to roll with me down to the laundromat. So me and Lynn drove down Charleston in Las Vegas and took him to the laundromat. And he's smoking his big old cigar and just totally cool, down to earth dude. And became friends. And then we also became friends with their manager. He had come up from California, which turns out that it was Nick Adler, which they own. The Adler family owns the Roxy and a studio in Malibu and all this and that, whatever. And their dad, Lou Adler, actually did Cheech and Chong Up in Smoke and did Rocky Horror Picture Show and all this stuff. Started A&M Records and used to manage all kinds of stuff, like worked with Mamas and the Papas and all that. So his kids helped run the Roxy and helped manage bands. So they also managed One Side Zero, Shovel, and Snot. Well, we became friends with Adler because of the shows. And he saw that we drew really, really well. So we became friends with Snot and started doing more and more shows with those guys. And we became friends with Mikey Doling. Unfortunately, Lynn Straight got in a car wreck and passed away. And then Mikey Doling was really, really like just down and trying to do some stuff. So then Nick Adler was managing that project and not introduced, but kind of brought up the idea to have Mikey Doling produce our album Pigeonhole. So it was all previous to 2001. And Mikey Doling, we went to Malibu, recorded at the Adler studio, which is a trip within itself because we're in Malibu. You see dolphins swimming by, and we're recording Pigeonhole in the studio with Mikey Doling. And they have like a half court basketball court in the house, and there's like shoes from all the Lakers all signed and everything. So we're playing basketball with One Side Zero. Shavo from System of a Down, because System of a Down is friends with Snot, came to the studio, and Mikey handed him a guitar, and he's like, hey, record this guitar part, so Shavo actually plays a guitar part on the end of the Kill Your Children album. So we're just like the Kill Your Children song, but we're in this house that's like way too nice for us scumbags from Vegas, recording this metal. And there's like a lamp. It's a Jack Daniels bottle, like this big old Jack Daniels bottle with this thing. And it's like, sorry, Lou, for breaking your other lamp. Love, John Lennon. And I was like, damn, John Lennon used to come here and party too. I'm like, that house, Jack Nicholson pictures everywhere because he's like the godfathers of the Adlers and stuff. And we're like just these kids playing in a metal band from Henderson in Las Vegas, that were like out of our element. I guess one of the days Ozzy Osbourne was shopping at the grocery store right before we got there. We're like, damn, where are we? This is crazy that this is a whole nother like planet that we're in, recording in Malibu. So that was all kind of the gateway of that with Snot. And we became really good friends with Mikey Doling. So he produced Pigeonhole. Then on Bleed the Dream, we brought Mikey Doling to Vegas, and he only produced a couple of the songs because we didn't have the time or the budget to do a full album with him. But he did a few songs on Bleed the Dream. And then he also produced our Mouth of the Swine album because we just stayed in touch and kept friends. And he produced Mouth of the Swine in L.A. in 2014 or something, 15, something like that. I don't know. We better check Spotify. That'll tell us whatever year that album. But we just became friends with Mikey Doling over the years. And then we did a bunch of shows. Well, not a bunch, but we did like 5 shows at the Snot reunion tour when they had Tommy Vext singing for him. And Tommy Vext was also the singer in Divine Heresy. And then he was also in Bad Wolves for a while. And now he's not anymore. But he was singing in Snot, and he had a great voice. And it was killer to do those Snot reunion shows too. But yeah, I remember Snot.
Are you sure you remember Snot? Like, I don't know, man.
All right.
Jesus, man. I did not expect it. Man, thank you for the plethora of stories. This is nuts.
This is great.
No, it's awesome.
So, last one on the list, the Get Up Kids.
The Get Up Kids. Play with them. And I got to try and remember where we played with them at. The Get Up Kids. That almost Hardcore 97. I was going to, it's CBGB's. Sweet. The Get Up Kids. I remembered the name, but yeah, I wouldn't have remembered it was at CBGB's. We got to play at CBGB's 3 times before it got shut down. And we never had a big crowd there because we weren't as big in New York. And until after we did that Ministry Meshuggah tour, that one kind of set us up out there in New York area. But New York's kind of like LA too, to where it's a lot really oversaturated. So one of the shows we did, maybe even this same show, we probably had like 30 people at, but I was like, I don't care. We're playing at CBGB's. This is awesome. And man, that club was so dirty and so grimy that, and I've been in a lot of crazy clubs before, that CBGB's is probably one of the worst. It was so grimy, but it was so cool with the history. And I went to put up a sticker on the wall and it wouldn't stick because it was so like grimy.
Oh,
but like, it was crazy and like kind of moist at the same time. And then you go downstairs to like, I think it was downstairs, but I remember there was this bathroom that you try to go to, and we were taking pictures because I heard that back in the day that Blondie used to hook up with her husband now, but at the time they were boyfriend, girlfriend in that same bathroom. And I'm like, yeah, this place is like filthy. And of course, that's probably 20 years prior. So I hope it wasn't as filthy when they were in there banging. But at the same time, I'm like, I don't even want to piss in here, let alone take a shit. This is crazy. This is so dirty of a venue. But it was so epic. I loved CBGB's. So we got to play there 3 times. It was awesome every time. I wish we would have been able to play there after our name got more established in the New York scene, but it's whatever. We got to rock at CBGB's.
Fuck yeah. Okay, so pretty much you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.5. 8.5 out of 10.
8.5. Not too bad. Not too bad.
You are in the top 5.
That Hatebreed one didn't really count because that's just obvious. I mean, but that's all right. It still led into some fun stories.
Absolutely.
I thought you were gonna get a little more obscure with it, you know, like Mystic Rage or Nuclear Rabbit, or
I did see some of those, but strangely enough, some of the it was actually kind of hard to find like past flyers and stuff. So there wasn't other than what's on your website, there wasn't a lot to choose from. So
you played with Mystic Rage a couple years ago. That's not more obscure. You missed Slugnut.
Well, Slugnut we only played with once, and it was on the East Coast, so we don't get out there as often.
Yeah. But it was the sickest flyer.
Nuclear Rabbit, that's one that I had never seen until we played with him. And that bass player with like, what does he have, like 12 strings on his bass 13. Or whatever? 13? That was epic.
Now,
and then
See, and that was where my wife saw you guys that first night at the Fat Cat with Nuclear Rabbit.
Yeah.
When she came home and told me go see Hemlock.
Yeah, that's
I did
awesome.
Find one more flyer.
So, yeah, I
was just kind of curious if this was actually you guys. Is this Hemlock?
That looks like that's probably one of the other ones that had a different Hemlock name. Yeah, I don't recognize that flyer. There was a death metal band from New York that was named Hemlock, and every once in a while people come across it and they're like, is this you guys? I'm like, no, they did it years and years ago. And then I think that there was even a thing with Danny Lilker from Brutal Truth. He had another band named Hemlock, like a side project. And I don't even know if they ever did a full album or if they just did some shows. But we wound up trademarking the name way back in like 95. And the guy that owned it before us from San Diego got so frustrated because we weren't changing our name and he didn't have a band anymore that he just signed it over to us anyways. And we paid a trademark lawyer to trademark it and all that. But then it goes back to, you're going to pay more for lawyers and fines and fees than you would, what are you going to win? Like $50 from a band? I'm like, now there was another Incubus for years that was a band that sounded a lot like Slayer. And then of course Incubus gets big and the radio Incubus. So that one there might have been an actual lawsuit over if anybody trademarked the name, because nobody remembers the Slayer Incubus style anymore, but except for weirdos like me, you know, you just check them out. They're old thrash band.
Which sounds more appropriate for the name Incubus than the current incarnation of Incubus.
Yeah. I mean, I love both Incubuses. I dig the new Incubus too, but the old Incubus was definitely more metal.
So what is Hemlock up to nowadays? I mean, we had a pandemic. Everybody was just kind of floored for a while. What have you guys been up to?
We're all healthy and good, so my only real complaint is boredom. It's been so weird and crazy to not be able to tour because it's our second nature. I mean, we live on the road. We're always out going. And then when we get home, we start working on our next tour. So it's been weird to have this much free time. So that's why we wound up doing the double albums, because we had tons of time. And me and my wife just started going on road trips out of boredom because we're like, man, it's weird to try and stay put. We have our house out in Iowa, but it gets like 5 degrees out here. We're like, all right, see you. We're going to go to Vegas to go visit family. So we go out to Vegas for 2 or 3 months at a time. We went to Colorado to go skiing. We went to Colorado a different time to try snowboarding, which I'm not good at either of them, but I tried them both because we didn't have a tour that I wasn't worried about breaking my leg before, because before I always was like, well, we got a tour with Slayer in a month. I'm not going to risk breaking my leg now or whatever. So I never went skiing before. I used to skateboard when I was littler. So out of the two, I'm a little bit better at snowboarding, but still not that good. And we just kept going to Colorado and visiting friends and hanging out. And then we went to New Orleans. We just went down there for 4th of July and got to see the sights and hung out with some friends down there and did a lot of fun activities. But as far as touring goes, it's been non-existent. So it's been like, I feel like a crackhead, even though I don't do any kind of drugs. I don't even drink caffeine anymore. That's how weird the pandemic is. We're sponsored from Rockstar Energy Drink, and I would drink 3 or 4 energy drinks a day. But when you're not on tour burning off that energy, I'm like, man, I need to actually like settle down a little bit. I'm gonna have a heart palpitation because I'm not burning off the energy. So I quit cold turkey drinking caffeine last September. So now we're finally, well, thank you very much. Not saying that I won't ever do it again, because if I'm driving that old prison bus in the middle of the night and start dozing off, I don't want to hit the rumble strips and kill us all. You know, I'd rather drink an energy drink than drive off the road. But I'm going to try my damnedest to not cave in. So I'm impressed that I'm actually rambling this much because I'm not all caffeinated, but I'm at home tapping on stuff, air guitaring, humming things, and I'm like, man, I seriously miss it. I need to get out and actually play shows and go spit loogies and go high five people and hang out and do whatever, you know. I mean, even those long night drives when you're listening to Sade in the middle of the night and then you listen to Slayer next, it's just funny, random, crazy stories, you know, that part of living on the road. And finally, just within this last week, I started writing stuff on my calendar to do some shows. We're going to do a couple of warm-up shows at the beginning of September.
Ooh, where at?
And then we're going to try to do a 3 or a 4 week run in October. But the other thing that I knew was going to happen with all this pandemic stuff was that when the green light comes and everything opens back up, all the bands are going to come back at the same time. So I didn't want to spend 2 months of my life, because we don't have a booking agent. I book all of it myself, and it's crazy because it takes a lot of time, a lot of detail, a lot of work. So if we're doing a 2-month tour, it'll take me 2 months of like 15-hour days to book that tour and make sure we got all the right bands, all the right merch, the gas mileage, all the right, you know, everything. So to do our 3-month tour, it was a 2-month tour in Europe, and then me and my wife were going to stay an extra month. That took me 2 months to book. So that was 4 months of my life, almost 5 months of my life that just went down the tube of like, man, I just spent so much time. I could have been doing other things and being more creative than just that. But nobody knew it was going to get put on pause. So I've been a little hesitant about booking shows because I didn't want to spend 2 months to have it all again. But now that it's getting closer to time, a lot of the big markets are already full because all the stuff that just shifted from 2020 to 2021 to 2022 or whatever. So I'm putting us in a lot of our B markets, which are the smaller towns that, you know, we're not going to hit Las Vegas on this first run, and we're not going to hit Phoenix, but we'll hit some of our other, you know, towns that we do good. We're going to probably go up to Montana if it all plans out right and do some shows up there. We toured up there with Slayer and Killswitch Engage before, and after that, we just crush it in Montana. We love it up there. And I also like to book tours where the weather is good, because if the weather's good, the fans are happier and the band is happier. So when you're like touring in January in blizzards, we've been up in Ludington, Michigan before doing a show, and it was like -12 out, and you have to unload the trailer and your lock is frozen. So you have to go get hot water from the bar so you could open your trailer. It's no fun to load gear in -12 weather. So we're going to try and do the Northwest and then hopefully follow it up during the winter with a South and a Southwest, and, you know, just some dates here and there. I'd love to come back out to California. We need to rock in Los Banos again.
Oh, you know what, dude? I haven't done a show in years, but I will come out of retirement to make sure we can get the lock back in LB.
Our friends from Mystic Rage, actually, Pete offered us a couple of shows, and then I saw that Slim's closed, which was a bummer. That was our last show in the Bay Area, but Pete always does the canned food drive over in Hayward at the park. So we've
Last time I saw you.
Yeah, we've done that 3 or 4 different years with the canned food drive over there. It's a good time, but California's getting strict again. I heard on all the not the lockdowns, but all the restrictions. So I'm gonna keep my fingers crossed and my toes crossed and stretched nuts crossed too, that hopefully it doesn't ruin the music, you know.
We're trying to kind of get half in and get everybody masked up again, just so that way all these big things that are coming in the early fall can actually happen.
Yeah.
We actually are affiliates for the Aftershock Festival.
Oh, rad.
So Brandon and I have 3 days of interviews and trooping around here, seeing bands and talking to people that we're really looking forward to. So They're talking about increasing restrictions for a short time, just so that way everything goes back down.
Yeah. We've never played that Aftershock Festival, but I check it out online every year. It looks awesome. So if you wind up schmoozing with the right people, tell them Hemlock's ready for next year, 2022 Aftershock.
Damn right.
I'll just tell everybody. Hopefully we tell the right person.
If it's not too hot, wear your Hemlock jacket that day. It'll piss off everybody there.
Oh dear God, I'm not wearing my Hemlock jacket to a festival. I might lose it.
When is it? Is it in August? The
October.
tour?
October.
Oh,
but
yeah,
it's still
nice.
hot here in October.
That's true.
So, fuck. Like, most of my questions got answered, like, just in the course of things.
Ask me another question, whatever you want. Nothing's off limits.
All right, I got a good one. Originally, I was going to ask if there was ever a time you were looking and hanging it up. I can guess now that no. But my question is, if you did, what would have been your real job if there was no Chad Smith of Hemlock? What would you have gone on to do?
There's a moment of honesty right here, that there was a minute right after my brother quit the band the first time that I thought about quitting the band and just ending it, because me and my brother started it. I was 15, he was 17, and he quit, I think, in 2001 or 2000. Yeah, it might have been that summer or that fall. And he had a crazy girlfriend, and he had his kid, and just all this stuff at the time. And he couldn't road dog it like we were Road Warrior. And I thought about quitting. And my wife, she was my girlfriend at the time, we were driving up Boulder Highway in Henderson, and I was just really bummed. I stayed up for 2 days straight, just like so sad when my brother quit. And we were driving up the road, 3 different cars as we were driving up the road with Hemlock stickers on it. So then I got all teary-eyed and stuff. I was like, man, that's awesome. And then we got to our P.O. box, and I opened it up, and there was a letter, a handwritten letter in there, because this is like 2001, whatever, from a kid in Farmington, New Mexico, that wrote me this letter that said how much Hemlock meant to him, that song Kill Your Children got him through his parents' divorce, and how he listens to us every single day, and how he can't wait till we come back and this and that. And it just really, really hit me that I was like, there's no way I can quit. And my wife told me, she's like, I wouldn't let you quit anyways, because you would just be regretting it, and you would be so bummed out and so angry. It's like you're out, you are. And then that's when we started writing all the songs for Bleed the Dream. That's why the album's called Bleed the Dream, because it's talking about never give up. So there's that. I almost did, but I didn't, because it was like a 5-minute window in there to where I was just really, really bummed. And I was like, I don't know, how am I going to do this? So we just got a different drummer, and most drummers are crazy. I can say that because our drummer is my brother. Yeah.
Me and Brandon are both drummers.
We had different drummers for I think we probably had like 5 or 6 different drummers over the course of 9 years. And
there was always, you never had the same drummer until your brother came back.
Yeah, it's hard, because realistically, to sum it all up and without talking shit or being crazy, because people always want to point the finger at somebody for something not working right. And of course, they always point the finger at me, because I'm the one that's the driving force behind the band. But it's always been because we've been financially so tight that it's hard. When you go on tour for 2 months and you're kicking ass and you're having these awesome shows, but you come home and everybody only makes $300 or $400, you could barely pay your cell phone bill because the gas money was so expensive, the flat tires, this and that, whatever. And financially, it was a hard transition all those years. And that's why we went through so many different members, was because financially it didn't make sense. You mean, when you're a kid and you live at home, you can stay in your mom's garage, or, you can rent a bedroom or whatever. But then when you're on tour, you don't have this overhead. So financially has been the hardest trial of Hemlock. Like I said, we don't have a rich uncle. We don't have, none of us won the lottery. We just do it because we love to do it. And we just keep going and going and going no matter what. So what my real job would have been is I probably would have still been in the art somehow, because I designed all of our T-shirts. One of my friends back in the day had a connection where he was talking about people applying to draw for The Simpsons. And I know how to draw all the Simpsons characters by memory. I used to record it on video. So who knows, maybe I would have auditioned and I would have been drawing for Simpsons. Also, years and years ago, I worked at a tattoo shop running a register, and I would draw flash tattoo, but they wanted me to actually do tattoos. And I told them at the time, I said, this is when I was like 18 or 19 years old. So Hemlock had been going for 4 years or whatever. And I told them at the tattoo shop in Vegas, I said, I don't want to start doing tattoos because I know that there's good money in it and I know that I'll do good in it. But what I won't be able to ever walk away from it because I want to play music and I want to travel the world. Even if that means I'm going to be tighter on money or I'm going to be poor, I want to do it because that's what I want to do. So I never started tattooing, but I could have probably gotten a job being a tattoo artist or drawing cartoons. I have said over the years that when I get old, and I'm 43 years young, by the way, but when I get old and I get gray hair and I can't do the band physically anymore, that I would draw and write children's books.
Dude, hell yeah.
Crazy ones that are a little bit demented, like Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory meets, like Dr. Seuss, but I'll have good stories behind them and stuff. So, because I love cartoons and I love just silly stories and fun things and, whatever. So maybe one day I'll do that. I don't know. But for me, it's basically Hemlock or nothing, because my other guys that have been in the band have had side projects along the way, and people ask me to like join or to do things here or there or whatever. And I'm like, nope, it's Hemlock or nothing. I'm in it. I've given more than half of my life, 28 years now. I'm too stubborn to quit. I love it. I smile at the end of every day. I love traveling. I love meeting people. I love playing shows. I love being creative, writing songs and writing lyrics and, that kids can connect to, and that actually write handwritten letters or send you messages of how the music saved their life and stuff like that. So, and then it's also rad when people come to the shows and they have Hemlock tattoos. I'm like, man, that's a diehard. That's somebody that's inked them on there for life. And now there's probably close to 500 people that I'd guess with Hemlock tattoos all around the world. A guy over in Hungary, a guy over in England. Everywhere we go, it's just a trip. I'm like, man, this is rad that you can connect with people on that level. It's not like we just came out with one album that had 2 medium songs on it and then we're disappeared. People are lifers when it comes to Hemlock.
So
I'm one of them.
So with that being said, man, like, what kind of advice would you give an up and coming band? You guys have been, pretty much DIY for your entire career. What are some tips you can give newer bands about, hitting the road and just doing the thing?
Yeah, a lot of the time bands think that when you get signed, it's going to be like green light from there on. But that if you do get signed and you do get that, it's like winning the lottery. And then at the same time, a record label is nothing more than an expensive interest bank loan, because if you have the money and you can buy your own publicist and you can buy your own distribution, then you can do that. And nowadays records aren't selling like they used to anyways, because it's all digital. So part of it is just, if you want to do it as a hobby and you want to do it as fun, always just have fun and do it. If you want to do it as a business, treat it like a business, but still have fun. Like, you have to do it because you love to do it. Don't give up. You got to get out. You got to still be able to laugh. You got to roll with the punches. Don't ever burn any bridges, because you never know when you'll run into that person again. There's been so many times where I've had to just suck up so much stuff or eat shit just because we're the low dudes on the totem pole or whatever. And even after being around for 20 years, we're still doing small shows, big shows, whatever. We just play because we like to play. And then 28 years into it, we're still doing club shows. When we were on tour with Slayer, 3,000, 4,000 people a night, but then they have 2 days off, and we're like, well, we still need gas money and food money. So I would book us shows at like a bar that's a different city on the way to the next big city, and we would play for like 4,000 people one night, and then the next night we'd play for 80 people, and then we'd play for 200 people, and then we'd go back and join up with Slayer and play for 3,000 people again. And we learned over the years that no matter how big or how small or whatever, whether it's 40 people or 4,000 people, you got to rock A game every single night, because it's not those 40 people that paid. It's not their fault that the other 3,960 didn't come. It's, those people are diehards. They bought tickets. You got to give them what they are there for. So Hemlock, I take pride in it that we always, even if there's only 20 people on a Tuesday night, or whether there's 200 people or 2,000, we're always drenched in sweat. We're always jamming. We're headbanging. We try to make sure that everybody feels like part of it, and that, and I think it shows that we smile while we do it. We enjoy it, and at the end of the day, I'm proud of every small show, every big show, everything that we've done. It's just been a life of adventure and fun and making friends and all that. So I love it. Without sounding too cheesy, I wouldn't change anything. I just keep going and going and going, other than maybe getting a couple of like sponsors to help financially support struggle.
Wow. All right.
I guess one of the other things I gotta say to an up and coming band is you used to be able to get signed and you could make a living off of it, but now you have to almost minimalize your overhead to be able to afford what you love to do. So because we've been out as long as Korn, and Korn maybe even a year before, they got signed. They're all millionaires. They're huge. They're awesome and whatever. And I'm not trying to put us in the same category, but time frame, we've been out as long as them. We've never had the financial success. And even with Hatebreed, we used to be pretty comparable, East Coast versus, to the West Coast of size-wise. And then they just had a good run at it. And they're still homies of ours. But financially, they did really, really well and blew up. We have our little highlight spots where we have like bigger markets where we do better, or we'll get offered a bigger tour. But then we've always stayed humble to where we'll come back and we'll still do those small clubs, or we'll still open for a show. We're not egomaniacs about it because we enjoy playing. So with that being said, there's very, very few means now to make money to live off of by playing music. So you have to get creative with it, and you have to minimize your overhead. So me and my awesome wife decided years and years ago, we were on tour in Casper, Wyoming. We were doing a show that night, and I was laying on the bed, and we typed on the internet, anywhere in the United States under $60,000, because we were always on tour. We didn't care where it was. We just needed somewhere to call home base. So we moved from Las Vegas to Iowa because of the band, solely because of the band. We bought a huge house for $22,000 instead of $222,000. It was $22,000 cheaper than most people's cars. So that way we could also be centrally located and afford our overhead without going on tour. Because when we were touring before that, we'd be gone for 2 months, and you're like, it's at least $800 to $1,000 each band member per each apartment or whatever. So you're talking $4,000 a month times 2 months. You're talking $8,000 that you got to cover just to pay for your apartments to sit empty while you're on tour. So it didn't make sense at all. It was crazy financially. So that was one of the hard transitions of why we went through so many band members, is because we had to just keep scraping by and scraping by and scraping by. So when we moved to the Midwest, it made our overhead go from way up high down to like bare bones. So me and my wife can live off of like $300 a month or something like that if we have to. So that way, if we get offered a tour, like, for example, this is just totally honesty with you, because I don't care. It's just what it is. 2008, we got offered the tour with Yuga, and of course you say yes to that because it's huge. We got paid $250 a night. That doesn't cover gas, but you go on that tour, and we did it. So we came home broke, but we sold enough merch to where I think maybe each of us made $300 after a 2-month tour or whatever, but it was huge exposure, and we did it. And the only way we were able to do it is because our overhead was next to nothing. So part of minimalizing your overhead, and I'm not saying you have to move or whatever, but you just have to get creative and not get into all this huge debt when you're young, because then it's going to make it to where you can't go out on tour. So financially, it's been a burden on Hemlock over all the years, but at the same time, money's money. You can't buy the adventures. You can't do the stuff that we've done, for any amount of dollars. So to me, all of the Hemlock adventures are worth gold. So I'm already a rich person,
I love that attitude.
Yeah.
Then that segues me into, unless Brandon's got more, what might be our final question, which is everything you've told us tonight, everything you've been over 28 years, all the fantastic ups, downs, the highs, the lows, Japan, Canada, Europe, you name it. What is your proudest achievement with all of this?
This interview right now. Oh, all of it. Like, I mean, of course, touring with Slayer's legendary. I mean, we've done that 2 times, and then we did a couple of off shows too. I mean, when you get to open up for them, you're like, this is huge. But playing on stage in London, I never would have been to London, and we toured over there with Head PE, and we had the whole crowd jumping. So I still get emotional and excited and proud about even all these other moments, you know, headlining at the House of Blues the first time in Las Vegas and having 1,000 people in there screaming all the words. That was a huge moment for us, you know. But it's all part of the Hemlock thing. So like, I'm proud of the whole 28 years, you know, coming out with the first local band in Las Vegas to ever come out with a CD, because before that everybody all did cassettes, you know, and that was a huge moment for us to come out with a CD. And, you know, people getting tattoos, and we've had 3 different friends of ours now tell us that they were thinking about suicide and that they listened to Hemlock music and it's what saved their life. So they go out and get Hemlock tattoos instead. And I'm like, damn, that shit right there is no joke. That's heavy. Like, there was a kid that was gonna shoot himself at the river, and he said that a random Hemlock song came on in his headphones, and he said that he took the loaded gun and threw it in the river, and he's been alive ever since because that song saved his life. And I'm like, damn, that's awesome that music can do that and connect, you know. But I look at the map on my wall here in the office, and this kind of sums it up, where when we did our Hell Tour 96, we went to Louisiana and we did shows along the way, and we would hit California and we'd hit it. And I remember laying in bed looking at that same map when I lived in Henderson. And I was like, wouldn't it be cool if we could finally ever play in Chicago? Look at how all the freeways meet. And then when you're in Chicago, look at how close New York is. And then, oh, you could go down here and you could do that. And I've just always dreamed of traveling and seeing everywhere. And now that map is so full with pins, tip to tip, all the way down to the Everglades.
You said it's on the wall?
Yeah, it's on the wall over there.
Can you show it to us?
Let's see if I can do this without. No, that's it way over there. I don't know if you can tell, but I have my. It's a big United States map that's just full with pins in it, the entire thing. So if we stop and get gas, I'll put a pin in that city. If we go and play a show, I'll put a pin in that city. So my whole map of the United States is full, from all the way up in Port Angeles and Sequim, Washington, all the way down to San Diego, down into Mexicali, Mexico, all up through Canada. I mean, and now I've started another map on the other wall of Europe, where it's got all the little pins put in all over everywhere too. So I'm like a little kid that likes to collect adventure and fun, you know. So it's just neat to see these accomplishments, to where I remember laying in bed and picturing that map. It only had like 20 pins in it, and now it's probably got like 2,000 pins in it. So we've been all around the world, all over the place. I haven't been to Australia or New Zealand yet. That's on the list. And I don't call it a bucket list, because the bucket list to me makes it sound kind of depressing, like you're already looking to your time of death. I call it an adventure list. I'm like, I want to adventure and go see more places, more optimism, you know. And just even when you go somewhere and you see somebody wearing a Hemlock shirt, it still makes me grin, you know. I get excited about all that stuff, whether it's big or small accomplishments, you know, and even getting to talk to you and talking about barbecue shows and just fun stuff and, you know, reminiscing. So I definitely still love and enjoy it. I don't have any plans to quit anytime soon, and we're going to just keep going, hopefully another at least 10, 15 years. Got to make it to that 30 year marker, since we're on 28 years right now. So we got a 30-year anniversary. I just saw that Anthrax is 40 years, I think, this month. So they're not too far ahead of us if you really put about it in perspective, that Anthrax is only 12 years older than Hemlock, which is crazy.
All right, well, final question and statement. Plug your double albums, man. Tell us about your albums. You know, they came out this year. Tell us about them.
Yeah. And of course, going back to the record industry, never showing the love as much, that we've never done it for the record industry side of stuff. We've always done it for our friends and our fans. So we self-released it, did it through CD Baby, paid for all of it ourselves, recorded it all ourselves, and it turned out amazing. We recorded 2 albums. One's called Carmageddon, which basically sums up, if you're a jerk, if you're a dick, you're going to have bad things happen to you. If you're out looking for war, you're going to have war. If you're out trying to be a good person and putting positive energy out into the world, you know, kind of hippie-esque, I guess, in a way, except we shower a lot more than hippies, you know. But I do have my dreadlocks still, and I used to drive my Volkswagen, so I guess I'm a modern day hippie. But you know, touring with Slipknot was a huge accomplishment, you know, all that stuff. Like, I'm proud of all of it. And so these albums, it just kind of sums up lyrically and mentally where I'm at. Really, really optimistic lyrics. And I even drew the artwork cover. Let me grab a copy real quick. Let's see. All right, let's see if this shows up right.
A little higher.
Yeah, there it is. Right.
There you go.
There. So it's a Ganesha elephant that I liked, and he normally, or he or she, I don't know. It's like a gender neutral elephant, I guess. But normally holds a bowl of pears for like prosperity, and it has like a little scepter and a wand or something. I know I'm probably butchering the story behind the Ganesha, but I looked it up a while back, and I drew this design, and I put a bowl of grenades, and I put a machine gun and a chainsaw, and then I put a little Hemlock H on the hand, and it's instead of like gold floral leaf, I did a bullet belt going around it. So the whole concept of it is basically Carmageddon. You're going to get what you put out in the universe. And I drew it. It's probably the most detailed, crazy, deluxe drawing I've ever done on my drawing tablet. I think this is the flag behind me. Let's see if you can see that. Yeah.
Yep.
That's
there it is.
When I first read the name, I thought it was based off the video game that was released like 20 years ago called Carmageddon. But that was just
Is there one?
It's like a racing game where you just run.
Oh, cool. Oh, car.
That-
C-A-R.
I didn't put
cool.
two and two together until you said it. Carmageddon. Got it.
Carmageddon, yeah. So, and then I also drew this little rat on the inside on the CD, and I put a dollar bill on its tail, and I put a euro bill on the other tail, and they're running around. Because one of the lyrics on one of the songs, it says, even if you figure out a way to win the rat race, you're still a rat. So I put money on the tail, kind of like when they put a carrot in front of a horse's face to get him to run or whatever. So I put money on the tails of rats because they're chasing money. And then the other album is Violence and Victory. Let's see where that's at. I did this one on Photoshop, and it's basically, you can't see, it's all reflecty, a pile of money of all kinds of currencies from around the world. And I thought it was fun to add in like the Japanese money and the Canadian money and the euros and the pounds and the dollar bills and all that. And it's all on fire. So the whole thing's talking about anti-greed, that the world unfortunately revolves around money, but there's also so much more to life than money. You know, no money, no love. You know, classic, good, optimistic lyrics, positive driven. So if you want, I'll send you well, we actually haven't filmed. We haven't really been together with the whole lineup until just recently. We actually did our first rehearsal like 3 weeks ago. But we haven't done any videos, so I just do lyric videos for now. I made a new one the other night for a song called Brainwashed.
Well, shoot, before we go, I will see if I could actually pull that one up and end the show with it.
Yeah, so Violence and Victory and Carmageddon, and they're not really offered through a record label, so you can order them off of our webpage and off of our Facebook and all that. And usually it's me or my wife filling the orders, and then I also usually 99.9% throw in extra stickers like Garbage Pail Kid sticker and Hemlock stickers, and then other band stickers. Our friends in Mobile Death Camp, he gave me a bunch of stickers.
Mobile Death Camp!
Yeah. So
Rule
I'll put
number one, don't be a dick.
Don't be a dick. Yep. Actually, you know, it's a cool story. Todd, we know him from years. We've toured with him a few times. He just sent me a thing, and I don't know if he's told anybody yet because he's going to send me a new picture, but he actually just got a tattoo of me on his leg.
What?
Yeah, it's fucking awesome.
Oh, dude, no, you need to purge that up and DM that to me.
Yeah, he said he was going to wait till it healed and send me a better picture, but Todd's one of my BFFs. He's a good dude. So, but yeah, I appreciate you guys letting me ramble and tell the stories, and I've got plenty more, so maybe in another month or two or sooner or later another one, because we can start talking about shows as they start to confirm, and hopefully we'll get out to California, because California is my favorite state out of all of them, to be honest, and I'm not just saying that because that's where you're at. But it's too fucking expensive. It's so expensive.
Oh, we know.
I would live in San Diego or down there like by San Clemente if I could afford it. But instead we moved to Iowa, and now I can afford to go visit as much as I want. But if I lived there, I wouldn't have time to do anything except for work, because you have to be a millionaire to even think about a little shack down there in San Diego or whatever. California is so crazy expensive, but it is an amazing state. I love it. Beautiful people, beautiful scenery. It's epic. I mean, of course, I love all the places we go. Even down in Louisiana a couple weeks ago, it was awesome down there, seeing alligators in the swamp and shit. And I don't know. I love life. I'm happy. I want to keep rocking and rolling. So hopefully we get our asses out there and do shows with you guys soon.
Oh, we're looking forward to it, man. I can't wait. Once you give us the go ahead, me and Brandon will help cook something up.
Sounds good.
Oh, yeah. Well, with that being said, we'll say our goodbyes, and we will leave the show on your new lyric video that you posted on Facebook.
Thank you.
I think it's called. I didn't actually see the name. Is it called Brainwashed?
Brainwashed.
Okay.
Yeah, Brainwashed. I drew this thing too. I drew it for a T-shirt design. It's got a zombie washing brains in a basket. It's pretty funny. And there's little tidy whities hanging in the background on the clothesline, and I drew a little yellow piss stain on it and everything. See, my Garbage Pail Kids come creeping back in.
Always.
Always.
So go ahead and plug your website, sir. Where can they find Hemlock?
HemlockWorld.com. www.hemlockworld.com, and then Facebook Hemlock World, YouTube Hemlock World, Twitter Hemlock World. I don't think we have a Tinder account because I'm the Tinder. Tender, Tinder Bear.
All right.
HemlockWorld.com. It's basically everything. I think there's a Instagram Hemlock World too. I mean, all that stuff. So Hemlock World, because we love the world. We love to play music. We love to travel, and we love you guys. I appreciate the time and the interview and letting me ramble.
Much love and respect, man. With that being said, this has been episode 120 of Talking Shop with the Boss
120.
Dogs. Yeah, 120, and we're just going to keep on rolling. So, with that...
121 is on Sunday.
So, you could find me on Instagram. I am the real Brandon Blacker. You can find my band Suburban Paranoia on all social media platforms and streaming platforms. And go check us out at the Redwood Metal Fest on August 21st. We'll be playing with Lich King and 20 other bands up in Ukiah. Also, we will be opening for Flotsam and Jetsam at the DNA Lounge on August 25th. So be there.
Awesome.
Or be square. Mr. Lunchbox, where can they find you?
Don't worry about where you can find me, but you can find this show at Talking Shop with the Boss in the Box on Facebook. Don't forget to join the Talking Shop with the Boss in the Box Facebook discussion group, where we shitpost all the bullshit that you want to bullshit about every day, all day long, including Hemlock videos, wrestling videos, Simpsons bullshit, and, well, just a bunch of bullshit. You can find this show at Talking Shop with the Boss in the Box on Instagram. Shop_talking on Twitter. Make sure you like, subscribe, and share the Talking Shop with the Boss in the Box YouTube page, where you can see the Boss Reacts, Monday Motivations, and all the other things we do every single week. But most importantly, you can find us on Talking Shop with the Boss in the Box live every Monday night, except for this next week, where it's going to be Sunday night at 7 p.m. Oh, wait, is it 7 or 6, Brandon?
I don't care.
Power Hour. 7 or 6 p.m. Most importantly, every Monday night, 8 p.m. live on Facebook, YouTube, both at Talking Shop with the Boss in the Box, or you can find us live on Twitch at Devastated. That is DEVASTATED Media on Twitch. We'll see you guys next week, Sunday, not Monday, for the Power Hour, episode 121, sponsored by Settled Down Beer.
You guys are good.
Thanks, man. And thank you, Chad, for spending 2.5 hours with us. We will leave this podcast with your brand new lyric video. This one is called Brainwashed.
Kick ass. Thank you, guys. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Thank you. Don't hang up. Don't hang up. You got to show me Simpson shit.
see if I can pick this laptop and show you our kitchen.
Oh hell yeah!
I can show you the map for our
Actually, we're talking over it right now because the video's going on. Honestly, I love shit like that. So.
It's like the end of the movie.